The Seneca County Commissioners to order for Thursday, October 21st. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Commissioner Paradiso, are you prepared?
Sure. Dear God, thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for a great day. Bless the farmers. Thoughts and prayers for Dale Stacy, longtime friend of Pleasant Township, Seneca County, former county commissioner. May he rest in peace. And please oversee this meeting as we make decisions and for the betterment of the citizens we serve. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Here.
Commissioner Shutt?
Here. Okay, we have with us Sharon George. She is at the top of our agenda. Before that, Commissioner Paradiso reminded we probably want to put a resolution together for Dale Stacy.
Yeah.
Maybe for the next meeting.
I think Jimmy's working on it.
So you can do that. Get the history and the dates correct. And
I've reached out to the Seneca County Museum to look for some old photographs and some other information. I know he served as commissioner from like 1966 to 1982, if I remember correctly. So I think 4 full terms.
yeah, so we can do a great tribute. Yeah, God
And
bless.
his father, Clyde, did you know him?
Yeah, no, I did not know his father.
No, he was a commissioner, so he'd have been.
Three generations.
Yeah.
Okay, we are happy to have with us Sharon George, representing children and or family and children's first council.
Let me get the,
So I gave Stacy
Please.
a copy of a PowerPoint. Can we stand here?
Yeah.
Yes, please. That's
All right,
exactly
while she pulls that up,
yeah.
so as not to bury the lead, no plot twist
I
here.
missed your committee, by the way.
Oh,
Commissioner Schuff now, you're stuck with him. He likes
but
it.
you may exhale. I'm not here to ask for any money.
Yeah.
I'm just here
My
to
favorite person today.
just to give you some information about what's happening in the county and what Family and Children First is doing.
perfect. You can stay as long as you want then.
I could talk all day on this. So, Family and Children First Council, for people who aren't as familiar, about 21 years ago, Governor Voinovich said, you know, it'd be a really good idea if everyone who served children and families collaborated. So there is a state cabinet council, and that would be the directors of all the family and children serving organizations at the state level. They all sit on the cabinet council. Then that model is replicated in each of the 88 counties. So our mission, we have a couple of tasks, a couple that every county has to do. One's Help Me Grow, the other is service coordination. So when kiddos are multi-agency involved, the county has to come up with a plan for that individual child on how to help them be successful. In a nutshell, it's about family stability. So here's the statute, Ohio Revised Code 121.37. Engaging and empowering families, shared accountability, building community capacity, collaborating, and identifying gaps. So our job as we work through is to figure out consistently gather data. What do our kids and families need? Do we have enough of that resource? If not, how do we go about getting that resource? So the state, when they created Family and Children First, they said there are 8 mandated. So in every county in the state of Ohio, these positions must sit on Family and Children First Council. So those are the current mandated. And the interesting thing about Family and Children First Council is it's meant to be a collaborative. It's not a quote-unquote entity. So we do not have our own fiscal resources or our own policies and procedures. One of our members needs to be our fiscal agent. If in a county no one wants to do that, by default it falls to the commissioners. So we've been fortunate in Seneca County, that hasn't happened. So the Educational Service Center is our fiscal agent. So although we have our own funds, and we have about 6 different funds that we administer as a council, the dollars sit with the Educational Service Center, as does all of our team. We are employed by the Educational Service Center. but the dollars that they hold do belong indeed to the Family and Children First Council. So these are the mandated members. In addition, the last bullet point there is family representatives. So sometimes what can happen is a group of well-intentioned professionals can sit around a table and say, we think this is a really good idea and let's do this, and this is what families need and this is what kids need. And sometimes we miss the mark because we don't have families or kids at the table when we're designing programs and resources. So in order to head that off, what the state said is 20% of your composition needs to be family reps. So we have 4 family reps that are not employed by any council member agency. That is key. We have an additional 2 bonus family reps who are parent representatives for the county. So they're not voting members though, because they are employees of the Educational Service Center. And then those are the other add-ons. So in each county, the county determines who else needs to be sitting at that table in addition to the mandated members. So those are our other members. So some of the programs that we're responsible for, again, Help Me Grow, the birth to 3. What has been realized is the earlier you intervene when you find a potential delay, the earlier you intervene, the better all the way around for the family. You get better qualitative and quantitative outcomes. So qualitatively, if you can intervene, if someone, say it's a first-time mom and they're not sure exactly at what age children should be doing certain things and hitting certain indicators, you can bring in a professional and say, well, in this age, in this time frame, this is about when they should be forming words or rolling over or feeding themselves. So if you're starting to miss one of those indicators, some interventions can happen, and that will help get kiddos caught up. And then on the quantitative side, what they've realized, for every dollar spent in Help Me Grow, there's a $17 to $20 savings realized of something where you would have to intervene at a later point. So it's win-win. Everything we do at the council level is rooted in the 40 developmental assets. So it's Search Institute, 40 assets, 20 are internal, 20 are external. It's somewhat tantamount to self-esteem. So 20, you get growing up in a family. Does the family provide love and nurturing? Do you have a vision of the future? Do you have a plan? Does the community value youth? Are you productive in the community? So we survey at the beginning of the programs, out of those 40, how many do you possess? And then at the end of a program offering, we survey again and we measure the difference. So that's really our qualitative outcome for everything that we do at the council level. A gap that was identified years ago, we used to have big brothers, big sisters in the community at Tri-County with Seneca, Sandusky, Wyandotte, and then they went away and we didn't have anything. And when we served those multi-agency involved youth, we would say that child needs a mentor, that child needs a mentor, that child needs a mentor. About 68% of our households in Seneca County are single parent. So there's a lot of kids that don't have a role model, particularly of the same gender. Most of those single households are single moms. So there's a lot of little boys who do not have a male role model. So we created SMILE, Seneca Mentoring Youth Links. It's been around for about 7 years now. Wraparound coordination is a practice that meets with families, identifies strengths, and then areas where they are under-resourced, and then comes up with a plan. Bridges out of poverty and getting ahead and just getting by world. 50 years of research that Dr. Ruby Payne did that shares when you're working and serving people that are in a different social strata, what you need to know. So everything in the United States is set up on a middle-class system. So if you were fortunate to be born into a middle-class family, you have the rubric to be successful. If you were born into a family in poverty, you don't know the rules. It's a different game. So the idea is that the information could be shared for middle-class professionals that are working with people in generational poverty. What do you need to know? And how do you get right to serving people instead of having judgment like, hey, I wouldn't do that, AKA it's wrong. How do you understand more about why people make the decisions they do? Then you can get right to working together. Conversely, people who are in generational poverty, how do you educate and share information about the middle class so that they can then be successful in middle class systems such as school and employment? So we share that information. We also do poverty simulations, which allows people to step right into the role of someone in generational poverty, so we get it. It embeds that information a bit further. Ohio Start is a new program that we have, and Handle with Care. And then we're also working with Job and Family Services to do a teen pregnancy prevention campaign. So here is what we call sort of the brass ring in the county. The council has to report to the state every year, what is our shared goal? What is our shared plan? If we could achieve one thing, how would it make a difference? So since this began in 2015, our big thing has been school and career success. So we know the more kids that graduate from school, the better for the community. And so what we monitor is graduation rate, attendance rate, and then we figure out how to support families in getting kids to school so that the teachers can do their job of educating. We have to allow the kids to be ready, willing, and able to be taught. So how do we support those kids getting to the school doors? So that is our plan, and we work with all of the organizations in the community to do that. Here's our Help Me Grow team. I told you a bit about what they do. Annually, they serve about 125 kids in early intervention. And that's the birth to 3, and then they transition kiddos at age 3, hopefully to a preschool, so that they're better prepared for kindergarten. Care coordination in Seneca County looks like wraparound. So we have 2 wraparound facilitators. Anyone can refer to wraparound, and that's an area where they look at food, shelter, clothing, housing, transportation, social well-being, mental health, substance abuse, and what areas might the family benefit and increase their stability by understanding more about community resources. Then what our coordinators do is they create a team to literally and figuratively wrap around that family and support them to increase their resources, thereby increasing their family's stability. Annually, they serve about 60 to 75. It's pretty intense. There's a lot of case management and connecting to all other resources like Job and Family Services, probation, the Board of DD, mental health, any resource that they need in the community, parent support, family coaching.
Sure, and I think the 4th bullet point there is very important, because I think when people look at these programs, a lot of times they're looking at just people that are in poverty or people that are in bad socioeconomic conditions. These programs are for all of Seneca County, any socioeconomic situation. They could be affluent even, but it strikes, there are certain kids that are born with whatever the syndrome might be or whatever the concerns might be, whatever the developmental disabilities might be, that these programs assist and do a great job assisting them. So I just want everybody to know that it doesn't matter whether you think you have some money or whether you're in the lower class. These programs are open to all those kids, because the concentration, at least from my view, is on the kids and not, not what their status is at that point.
Absolutely.
So,
So those are our coordinators. And then SMILE, our version of Big Brothers Big Sisters. We wanted to have Big Brothers Big Sisters, but Seneca County is too small. What National says is if you don't have a population of 100,000, you cannot have Big Brothers Big Sisters. I was a bit shocked and dismayed when they told me that, and I actually repeated it. Did you actually say we can't have this? And they said yes. And we're learning why. It's about sustainability. It's very costly to keep that program going. So we have been very blessed through state and local grants, and we have a foundation that also supports that we're in our 7th year now of offering programs and resources to kiddos. About 175 kids each year either have a traditional one-to-one mentor, they use our Impact After School program, or we have School Pals, which goes into grade level 5. We benefit greatly from Tiffin University and Heidelberg University through work study, as well as co-curricular hours that they want and experience that they want to obtain. So we're very fortunate. We have a good number of college students that are mentoring our young kids, which is also a win-win. It gets kids onto campuses. So oftentimes, that is the first that anyone in their family has thought about going to college, and then the mentors can say, hey, I'm a first-generation college student too. You can do this also. So it also feeds, as you can imagine, back into our shared plan of increasing graduation rate. And that's our SMILE team. So Matt's been with us. This is Matt's 7th year. So we're very blessed to have him. He's an incredible human being. Everyone knows him and he knows everyone. And you don't say his name without people smiling and saying, oh, he's a good guy. And he's built an incredible team of case managers there. So they're very, very supportive. When someone is matched with a mentor, then they receive case management, at least in the beginning, at least weekly and then monthly, to support that match, to be able to sustain it. And then they share information about what's happening in the community to take some of the guesswork out of spending that 4 hours that we ask per month with their young person. And then we also, through youth mentoring, we've realized that, you know, adults need mentors too. Sometimes adults have never had a role model or a mentor, so we have piloted a parent peer mentoring program, so parents with whom we're working that could use someone that maybe don't have, you know, a support system. Maybe they weren't blessed to be born into a loving, nurturing family, or maybe there's been burnt bridges, or they live elsewhere. These three ladies then are their support. They call, they text, they can help transportation, they can help them with scheduling meetings, whatever they need to help the parent be successful to stabilize the family. START is a relatively new program in our county. We're working with Department of Job and Family Services, and it's sober treatment reducing trauma. So what Job and Family Services has realized is, in many different ways, it's far better to support and build stable families than try to rebuild. So Ohio and the National Job and Family Services has put a good amount of resources into stabilizing families. This is one of the areas. So we are currently working with 4 families in that area.
Do you deal with Pivot program with this?
Yes, so actually Jill is at Pivot this morning, I believe.
Okay.
But yes, so this is a voluntary program. So much like, you know, when you come through the courts, rather than being punitive, what this program is okay, you're involved with Job and Family Services because of some addiction. Here's an option. Let us give you this really strong team to support you in that walk to recovery, as opposed to the punitive route. So far since we began, 4 families have taken advantage of that program. Jill coordinates. There is a case manager, a dedicated case manager from Job and Family Services, and there also is a peer recovery mentor that walks alongside the individuals in this
So what
program.
was the genesis of this, from the Pivot program or from Family and Children First?
Job and Family Services.
Job and Family Services.
Yes,
Okay.
because people would often be involved with Job and Family Services because of addictions and be at risk of losing custody of their children because of dealing with their issues. So what they designed, this was a pilot program. It's not in all 88 counties, but what they've said is we've learned a lot, and if we support and provide mentorship and assistance, as opposed to, hey, we're going to take your child while you figure it out, it's far more motivating. Handle with Care is a program that Jill also oversees, and it is a program designed to reduce secondary trauma. So if there is an event in a home where children are residing, there is an app that we're piloting actually, and all the police and fire, sheriff's department have all been trained in Handle with Care. So say they came to my house for a fire, and I had 2 school-age children, they would send a text to Tiffin City Schools or Calvert or Fostoria City Schools and just say, Sophia George, Spencer George, HWC. That is it. And then at that school, 5 people would get that information, and then they would share it with their school staff. So when those kids got on the school bus, when they came for breakfast, when they went into their first period class, that school knows something happened. They don't need to know what, they just know something happened. So my kids might not be on their A game. So if there is a test, if they're maybe wearing the same clothes, if they're dirty, if they're falling asleep, then that school can handle that child with care and give them a wide berth that day. Maybe let them go see the school nurse, or go and lay down, or say, you know what, you might not be prepared for this test, let's do that tomorrow. So it reduces secondary trauma. So we're really excited to have that in Seneca County. So the money that we have to work with these programs, the state gives each county $15,750 to operate. Our budget is just under $1 million. And this is what we oversee as a council. I'm going to focus on that bottom line. That's really what drove me to your doors, to let you know a bit about that information. So MSY, Multi-System Youth Funding, is through the Department of Medicaid, and it started 1.5 years ago. And the idea is that it's a reduction of relinquishment of children in order to get their needs met. Because what was sometimes happening, if I had a child that required residential treatment, and I had insurance, and my out-of-pocket might be very high, or maybe I didn't have insurance. Sometimes parents were forced to relinquish custody to Job and Family Services in order to get that need met. And residential treatment can cost anywhere from $200 to $500 per day. So not many families have that kind of money to help their child if they need residential. So families no longer have to relinquish custody to get their kids' needs met. So we have been able to have 14 young people in that program. Now that total is really about $260,000 now that the state has given to the residential facilities, thereby reducing that burden on the county from Job and Family Services needing to place those kids. So that is a huge savings on the quantitative side, but on the qualitative side, that has meant 14 stabilized families as opposed to 14 fractured families. Because I can't imagine what it would be like to have to give over custody of my child and all rights to that child in order to get their needs met. So for those 14 and the ones that come to our doors that we're able to apply for and have approved, that no longer has to happen.
What does MSY stand for?
Multi-system youth.
Thanks. A lot of acronyms up there.
Yes, it is. Sorry. So basically those funds just pass through us. And this is where our funding originates. The Ohio Capacity Building Funds, that's the $15,750 that the state gives us. Then Multi-System Youth Funding, Department of Job and Family Services. We're very blessed. Kathy Oliver, the director, and her team are incredible. They don't have that in a lot of counties. But they wrote wraparound and mentoring into their prevention retention contingency plans. So for families that are at 200% of poverty or lower, they're able to fill out a prevention retention contingency application, and then they can send funding to the council if they're receiving wraparound or mentoring programs, which greatly helps us with sustainability. Mental Health and Recovery Services Board, so ever since we've passed the levy, they have funded wraparound and SMILE, and then they also wrote us into SOAR, which I'm going to blank on what SOAR is right now, opiate reduction. So 2.0 mentoring, again, if you stabilize kids and have them have more assets, the less likely they are to engage in risky behavior. MSY, I touched on that. DJFS, PRC, and pooled funding. DJFS also started pooled funding at the Family and Children First level, so sometimes it's ancillary things that the service coordination team recognizes would really help a family if there's something that they aren't able to get in some way. Sometimes it's coaching, parent coaching, mentorship. Sometimes it's application or the YMCA, being able to have a family, some social supports or different things that can help stabilize the family. Respite is huge. Giving a parent or caregiver a break and just allowing them to sort of have what we would call a Calgon moment for a couple of hours. So that's largely what we use our pooled funding for. And we're very, very fortunate. Again, many counties do not experience the level of collaboration and partnership that we do in Seneca County. So it's great whenever funding comes to one of our member agencies like Mental Health or Job and Family or DD, they come to the council table and they say, this funding is coming down the pipe. What do our families need? Not siloed like, hey, don't you worry about this money because it's going to go over here. It really is a collaborative effort of how do we meet the needs of our children and families.
Yeah.
So future goals, and one, I'm going to drop down to number 3. So a gap that was identified from a family that said, we have young people who maybe because of autism, high functioning autism or Asperger's, social connectivity is very scary. And sometimes kids make it all the way through high school with never having a sleepover, never going to a prom, never going to a football game. And they lack that social connectivity. So maybe y'all could start a group. So we did, and we meet on Thursday nights at Impact at Little Faith Ministries, and Stephanie Little has been incredible opening up the doors of her church, because we just took over the basement with our after school program and our mentoring and now friendship club. So they meet there on Thursday, and they plan outings and they plan social activities and a bit of education about how to start a conversation, how to be safe on the internet, those types of things. So we're very excited to get that off the ground. Women's empowerment is another area. It's been on the wish list for a long time. We have our first meeting scheduled November 10th. Women often are trying to take care of, they're the head of the household and they're trying to take care of everything, and some don't have anybody in their corner. So if you have a really good day or a really bad day, most of us can pick up the phone and choose who's going to listen to us vent. Some people don't have anybody. So this women's empowerment group is a bit, again, about offering support and friendship and mentorship, and then a bit more on some helpful tips, like how to handle holiday stress and so on and so forth. So those 2 are kicking off. And then continuing to look for respite. That's a huge gap in a safe, quiet place for kids to be while a caregiver takes a breath. We are part of a pilot program through Ohio Department of Job and Family Services this year called Communities of Support and CARA, Plans of Safe Care. So CARA is for expectant mothers or mothers who deliver babies that perhaps have a substance on board. So again, like START, as opposed to being punitive, the idea is if a baby has a substance on board, then we have a plan of safe care for that mom and that family on how to help them with that substance and how to help make sure that the baby is receiving the care that they need. And CANS is an assessment to determine the level of care for youth. So that is it in a nutshell. Again, one of our huge focus is identifying gaps in service, and so we're open. We are now happily housed at the North Central Ohio Educational Service Center, and if anyone hears of another program in another community that you think would benefit our people here, or if you say, hey, we don't seem to have X, Y, or Z, just give us a call and we could look into how to bring that to the community.
For that fall story youth center that you were discussing, are you envisioning that as more like a Smile type program or more like a teen center type?
So the Fostoria After School program is happening. It was a collaborative between the YMCA, Fostoria Schools, and Smile. We wrote a grant to Marathon to get that kicked off, and it is at the new combined school Monday through Thursday,
Okay.
3 to 6.
Glad to hear
There's, I think, 12 kids that made it there this week. It's been building. We just started like 3 weeks ago. So it's similar to Impact. It's similar to our after-school program here.
Good.
Okay, I'll break with protocol. Any questions from Jimmy? Let folks know they can ask any questions they might want to ask. Anybody from the group? No? Okay.
Scott?
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Sheriff.
So Brian, the last time we actually come to a meeting, there was a party. I'm sorry.
That's right.
But you're on, brother.
The edge drain project is coming up on the halfway portion. They pulling a huge amount of dirt away, which is, and they're getting the water drainage put in, the tile put in. It's all going good, and Quest has been very good to work with. They hit some unmarked wires, but and they damaged some runway lights that were unmarked. The lights were marked, but the underground wiring They burned up a transformer. I think everybody's taking care of their problems, so I didn't have runway lights for one night, but we got it straightened
So is the
out.
weather gonna hold out for them to get it complete this year?
I think so, and they're feeling pretty comfortable. They had M&B in blacktopping over a turnoff from the runway to the taxiway yesterday. They're still working away though, putting tile in, hauling dirt, and they want to get it seeded. So
Good.
I think what had happened was, I think they talked about pushing it back into next year, or the first of next year. And what had happened was a huge project down at Mansfield Airport on the ramp that they won got canceled because they're thinking about moving the C-130s out of Mansfield, and I think it's probably gonna happen. So they're gonna be gone.
Wow.
They're making it a cyber base, and they think they're gonna employ another 150 people. And
No more low-flying aircraft?
no more
this summer?
low-flying C-130s. I think it's gonna take a year or two to get this all accomplished, but they are gonna build on down there, and they don't need any more ramp if they're getting rid of the airplanes or replacement. So I think it actually hurt the Mansfield traffic count. Good or bad, it'll probably be on the bad side. The guard constitutes about 13% of their traffic count.
Yeah.
The good part, I guess we'll figure out how to make it up, but there'll be a time when the C-130s aren't gonna be flying low, practicing or whatever they're.
Any idea where they're going?
There's a group up at Youngstown yet, so I don't know if that's where they're gonna go. So the taxiway project, I think, is going good.
Good.
Couple of small problems, but Quest, I'm sure, is taking care of them. We talk every morning, and that's going good.
This was a new company we hadn't dealt with before, right?
Right, from Perrysburg and Reynoldsburg down in Columbus, so they have places, a good company.
We were on that when they had the kickoff meeting, and they seemed.
They're on it.
Yeah, they were real accommodative, communicative.
So that's how we got moved up, and I was gonna move them up anyway, because I don't like doing things in the spring, it's so wet, So we're actually in good shape, and I think they're slightly ahead of schedule. I'd say 2 weeks and they should be out of there.
Wow.
Good.
They're using the access road on the backside, not disturbing anything with the airport, and very cooperative.
Perfect.
The runway lights, we had LED taxiway lights, we had original runway lights. We got the money from the state of Ohio, or up to a certain portion. They're working on bid specs. We've been together on the bid spec, or on getting it designed, and I got one small glitch with the FAA, which you always do, and we'll get it resolved. It's something to do with how we enter runway 24. We got to shift it. So
The LED lights are certainly more powerful than you had before. They should be brighter, right?
brighter and last.
Okay.
The typical things with everything we've all seen with LEDs.
Right.
I don't know when we've replaced the taxiway light for, in the last year and a half, so it just, So we had the regular old,
Fluorescent.
well, they were 40-watt traffic light bulbs. That's what the airport was designed, or the same as what was in an old traffic light on the runway, yeah, but we kept it up. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. One thing we're having trouble with LED, whether you want to hear this or not, but a regular old traffic light had a lot of heat. And so in the morning, if there was frost before the sun come up, somebody turned the runway lights, those traffic light, there was no frost. It opened right up to the lens, within a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And they were as bright as they normally were. Now with LED, there's no heat. So now they had to put in, sometimes I think we go backwards. They had to put a heating element at the bottom of the glass globe, so we've got power going to the globe to turn on, so that the LEDs are at the intensity they're supposed to be. So good or bad, but the big picture LEDs, I think, are quality, and they're going to last longer. So. And we're putting the new wiring in conduit instead of the old official days when they just buried it 18 to 2 feet underground, 18 inches to 2 feet underground, and somebody it eventually could get destroyed. So.
Well, the city's taking out a few stoplights, take those for free.
Plenty of bulbs laying around.
So those two projects, the one's well on its way and half done, and the other one will bid out in the spring and try to. Jess Howard, who put in the taxiway lights, has been up there to helping us with the damaged runway wiring, and they said they want to bid on it, and they put in the taxiway lights, so that's what's going on. I gave Kylie a copy of the AWAS bid.
Yep, I
And
signed
then,
it.
and you signed it, got it
Yep,
back to him?
yep, yep,
Perfect,
yep.
perfect. And then, I can't get anybody out, M&B's extremely busy, just won't call you back. I mean, I've been working almost all summer, and I like to fill the cracks when we're just coming out of spring, while they're still open, because the ground's cold, or when we go into it, because they do open up a little bit.
Well, maybe we ought to make a call to them and suggest we need some help out there.
So we only have one bid, whether it's, I can't, I mean, I've tried, but we,
Yeah, we reached out to get bids, but the only bid that we received was pavement maintenancing.
Well, I know
Pavement
Townships, I mean, there's some townships need pavement, that's.
45,000?
So we don't have to bid it.
No, not this one.
50,000.
Nope. I think in the original one was a little bit different of a project, and it was over 50.
I was gonna
but
crack
he
fill
reverted.
and seal the runway, and then crack fill and do the ramp next year. Okay, so, I mean, it just, I couldn't get, so I just thought if I crack fill this,
Split it up.
do the runway and the taxiway, or the runway and the ramp, and then we'll seal next year. I'm just trying to make sure that I take small steps and keep some preventative maintenance for the state of Ohio. They like that, the FA likes that, and so that,
They make comments on it when they're here.
yeah, so that's where I'm at. It was
I think
45.
that's reality. The townships, they were, talked about Cleveland, he wanted to have everything done November 1st, now it's November 15th, and it's.
And that's the issue, is it
It's a
just,
big issue.
there's not as many companies around anymore to.
Up until what date can these sealers work? I mean, you
We're
typically.
getting to the red zone.
Getting-
They don't like it below freezing at night, at least for the hot
So we haven't
tar.
got a lot of time left.
And just so you remember, we do have 43,000 worth of CARES, ARP combined money that we could have either used, which Kylie worked on, using some of our bills over the last year and this year. We could have used that for the reimbursement, or we could actually just, since we've already covered that under our general fund, we can use that 43,000 to cover part of it, and it would only be 2,000 out of the general fund. So, and it wasn't limited, it's just CARES had given the airport 43,000, so.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, we want to get it done. The question is, can you get it done this year?
I'll
So
get
where's
that.
that?
But you do have
the other
one bid
2,000?
that somebody will
Just
do
come
it?
down to general
Yeah,
fund.
and has
Is that-
time.
The other
Would you,
2,000.
Would be generous.
are they okay? You're okay?
Well, I think if we monitor it, sure.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, I'm willing to make a call if you want.
What's that?
I'm willing to make a call, but I
Okay.
guess if these guys stepped up, we ought to give it to them.
Yeah.
You can start, yeah, they're good.
And then I'll come back, I'll see how, the good thing that we had, the FAA is paying 100% of the edges in the tile. So
Right.
that was on a 90-10. Normally I get the state to pay 5 of the 10, but they took it all. So because of the problem we had a year and a half ago in the taxiway in the spring.
So this year, the 150 we're getting, like now in October, isn't this when we get it? For
Yeah,
our
the
annual
fiscal year just
Yeah,
started
so
October
So we're
1st.
starting over with this, that's unencumbered, right?
I think it's
We-
encumbered, but we don't have
commit
a
that
project.
back. Yeah, it's encumbered, but everything you said has already been paid. We don't need this 150 to
No,
pay. Yeah.
no.
Well, we go through that priority list how often?
Every year and update it.
November.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go,
So
November.
we're ready to go back to
Go back
that.
through it, and if we gotta move a home up or something,
Yeah.
nothing's actually changed. But the fiscal year starts in October, we revise it every year in November, and then we rearrange or add the projects for the next 5.
Right.
So,
So this year's money, we committed, but the money we're getting for next year's not
Not
committed, so
committed.
we're starting over.
so
We got-
as of October 1st, we're starting fresh.
Okay, got it. So I thought that, but we'll go over that in November.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my sense is they've got a bigger pot of money than they even want to tell us. There may be some additional money out there too. I mean, they were so quick. I think they needed to jump on some things to spend the money on.
Yeah.
And then, maybe this is for the public as well, but we have FAA and then we have ODOT money. And ODOT, State of Ohio. ODOT, it's-
Department of Transportation, State of Ohio.
Yeah, so they have money that's
And that's all,
aviation related.
that's right, and so we pay a seat tax every year for, and that money goes in, and then, of course, they collect sales tax on airplanes, and that's, you know, and then it gets dispersed to you guys in other ways. Some of it gets pushed over to the Department of Aviation so that they can do small projects, but I think it's the runway lighting, we have up to 460, I'm real close, 469,000 that the state's running, so we gotta wait on bids, so they're only gonna pay the bid. But
Okay.
I would think we're in good, I mean, from what I saw and putting the lights in, from reviewing it with the taxiway project, I think we'll be well under.
Okay. Do we need a motion, Stacy?
No.
Okay.
No.
So we're good?
Okay.
Thank you, Billy.
Yeah,
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Stop out.
Yes, sir.
okay, thanks.
Okay, Carly, what didn't I do? I didn't get the minutes approved, did I? Right?
Right.
Okay, so I'll accept the motion to approve the
Get the elbow.
digital audio video recording of the previous board session from last Thursday.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes. Okay, Stacy, what do you got for us today?
No updates today.
Okay. I do think it's probably important to mention the fact that we did get a number certified. Did we
From
not?
Budget Commission?
Yeah, of $19 million. Tuesday?
Yes, yep, I meant
So that's
Tuesday.
what we have to work with next year, so that's official, unofficial right now. Commissioner's report, Commissioner Paradiso.
Just one comment I'll let you talk about this morning, but I want to just comment on the EMS letter that the commissioner sent out, if I may. The commissioner sent a letter to all the EMS districts in the county that we work with, informing them, it's no secret, we've had monthly meetings, and last month we said next meeting, November 6th, we need to have your decision as a district. Are you going to move forward with the county's initiative or not? We basically condensed that to writing, and Stacy sent that out, I believe, yesterday to all the districts, and there's nothing new in it other than we're requesting that they give us an answer, and along with that answer, we would like some sort of resolution to the fact ratifying their decision. So we're looking forward to that. Hi.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that I would add to that is that by contract with each of the ambulance districts, they have a 90-day out to
Yeah.
us.
It's part two.
And we have a 90-day out to them. So the move could have been simply that we notified them of the 90 days, and from this point, 90 days from now, if you're not in, then we will no longer support you. We thought this is a better move to let them know that that's the direction that we're heading. But we have met for a number of months now without any firm commitment, so the time has come. We thought we would reduce it to writing, and they then have to respond to us, so the clock has started to tick.
Good. That's all I have for my report.
Okay. Commissioner.
Yeah, not a whole lot this time. Getting ready to start budget meetings here over the next few weeks. Like you said, the Calvert Life Skills class that we got to attend today was nice to get to hear and answer some questions from some of those students, and give what advice we can, and at least what we could answer, and hear some of their concerns, but enjoyed that thoroughly. Then, Mike, as you said, the Budget Commission approved the $19 million at a 2-to-1 vote, so roll up our sleeves here and get through the budget season.
Okay. Let us, in respect for time, let us get to the new business, Stace. Any other old business? We'll go to new business, Stacy.
Okay, I have a request from the prosecutor's office for an additional $2,806.58 into their equipment line. And I'll go ahead and read her other one. She also has an additional request, if I can find them, for $6,500 for salaries and $110 for Medicare. And this is due to remember that CESF grant, the justice grant that Charlene applied for. You know, we were having trouble getting responses, and you know, I think Julie called down there and actually found somebody to pay attention to us. So Charlene got the grant resubmitted, and we've just found out Friday that they were approved, and they really gave us a short time frame as the end of October, which I think Charlene's working on getting that extended. So we wouldn't have had time to put money in place for the new funds. So we have to do this through general fund, and we will get reimbursed. Basically, they're giving, the state has authorized $500 as a hazard pay through COVID for the prosecutor's office, and then the $2,800 for some, I think it was like an iPad and different things. Youth Center got a little bit, juvenile probate got a little bit. I just don't have anything for them yet. But like I said, I think Charlene's working on an extension with that, so.
This has been a saga, hasn't it? Now, how long has it
Yeah,
been?
I mean, this was
A year?
since, last March, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
It's been, you know, we asked for a lot, so I guess we at least got something.
How much did we ask for originally?
I think it was like $3
$325?
million.
$3 billion, yeah.
And that included the city Tiffin, judges and PD. But I think that was then end up being removed when we resubmitted.
Okay, well, good for Julie for finding some way to respond.
Yeah, we were having trouble getting anybody to even respond to us at all, our representative, or and maybe Charlene could update us on that. But let me finish these. So I have a request from Common Pleas, and this goes back to the grants that they had received. $68,075 contract services in their TCAP fund. They got $100,000 into the Mental Health and Recovery Services Grant Fund, contract services line. The Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services Grant, $250,000 into contract services, and the Justice Reinvestment and Incentive Grant Fund for contract services for $36,350. I've got one more. The Probation Fund Grant, $187,500 in contract services. A lot of them in here today. That was the prosecutor's salary. And I have a request from Common Pleas 2. This is in their contract services line for $2,025. Special projects, and it's for additional attorney services for the pivot.
Where did, like the probation funding grant of $187,000, who made that application?
The judges.
The judges
Yep.
themselves?
That was the one Judge Schuff came in.
Right, I remember him
and
talking
just-
about that. I just,
Yep.
like the Justice Reinvestment and Incentive Grant, $36,000.
$36,000. Let me see. That one was. Get that one up here. Yeah, that one was from judges as well.
Okay. Did Mersha and his staff do the Ohio Mental Health Services grant?
In cooperation with the judges.
In cooperation with the judges?
Yep.
Okay, so that goes for the other one?
Yep, all 4 of those.
Okay.
They would.
And we know where TCAP comes from?
Yep.
Okay, well, I saw some things about a bunch of grants that were approved, and I was wondering where they all were originated.
Yep, these are the ones that Judge came in and told us about. I think we set up the new
Yeah.
funds a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, okay,
And
thank you.
so he's now appropriating it. Let's see, where am I at? So there goes Sharon. And
about the 18th.
Yes, I do.
I have a request from Lydia, Victims Assistance, total of $24,437.78, which is broke down between her software licenses, salaries, travel, Medicare, other expense, hospitalization. She has 2 hospitalization lines in her Lisa's line, and other expense. Remember, she's on like an October through September time period, so she has to reappropriate her budget. Let's see. Make sure I got down. What else am I missing? Oh, I have a request from the auditor's office for an additional $1,500 for the state examiner's office contract services line. Due to COVID, the audit costs were up a little bit, so we got appropriated into the general fund, but the portion that the audit has done on the CARES program will be able to get reimbursed for the time spent doing that audit. So we have to get the bill paid, and then it'll get reimbursed through the ARP money. So, and make sure I didn't miss any.
The other VOCA.
Oh, the court costs for advertising. She had a court cost for advertising for $600.
Yeah.
So the county audit that we sat in, the exit.
Yes.
That included the CARES money.
Yes.
Okay, so it's one audit, but it's additional cost.
Right.
And you
Yep.
break the bill down that we pay for the audit.
Yep.
They were able to pull that.
Since we knew that CARES would be separate, they made sure they tracked their time spent on auditing the CARES, and
CARES
they
fund.
pulled all the contracts, they pulled all the stuff.
Well, as part of the budget process, you probably ought to accrue more for that, because now we got the American Relief Act, and that's much bigger.
Yep,
And it's, I think it's more complicated, at least from my view.
right.
So
Yeah, that's
we
good.
might want to accrue some money in that budget for that.
Probably the next couple of years.
Yeah, for that, at least.
And
So
I think-
25, right?
I think I
Yep.
know this, but the fees, the fees are set by the state.
Yes.
The auditing
Yeah.
fees, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
based
Except
on
when they want to
size.
change it.
Yeah, except, yeah, I got it.
It's roughly 90,000.
Yeah, okay, I'm good.
There are some, just so you know, Tony, there are some counties that don't use the state. They use a private firm.
I
And
guess I didn't
sometimes
know
that's
that either.
because they get crossways with costs, et cetera. I don't know if that's the case in many counties.
We actually had, in 2006, 2007, maybe 2008, we had an independent auditing service do ours, and then the state came back in and wanted us back and didn't really give us a choice, because the independent audit was a little bit cheaper, but apparently the
Yeah,
state
so,
auditors
yeah.
wanted us back. They loved us so much, they wanted us back.
When it gets to a choking point, that's the time to bid again.
Shop
right?
it, yeah, I guess I didn't know that. I just assumed the state did it, but.
Yeah, not for
But
everybody.
they're pretty friendly with townships and the smaller entities.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
bank,
we're
we
doing
didn't have
it,
it.
yeah.
The county pays all
About
of it.
$3,000 for Adams.
Is that what it is for a
Yeah.
township?
In the bank, we didn't have that choice. You either use the state or you close.
Yeah. That's
The
good.
difference between auditors and terrorists is at least terrorists are willing to negotiate. Yeah.
Okay. So I got a resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the county sales tax bond retirement funding. The treasurer's office and the auditor's office had to get, Paul's switching over our main checking account. So the sales tax payment, instead of coming in ACH, it has to come by check. Julie was a little concerned that we wouldn't get the check in time to make
Yeah.
the bond payment. So this is purely cash transferring from the general fund to the sales tax bond retirement fund, $44,398.60.
Is that just a temporary thing?
Temporary, it'll be
Okay.
advanced, she'll pay that back next month, and then
Well, no,
it'll
but I
be-
mean, the ACH is gonna start, we're not gonna
Yes.
get checked there.
Nope,
Okay.
nope, it's just because of the switching banks.
Okay,
The
got it.
time frame, we'll get one check for this month, and she was just afraid it wouldn't come in
Mr.
time.
Bradwell's thinking, so when we get our sales tax check, they take the payment out.
Yes, the sales tax comes
So we get the
in,
sales tax money in, and then they
It
take
actually
the
all
payment.
goes to the bond.
Yeah, it
We
comes
got
in.
their share.
Yeah.
Yeah, goes to the bond to pay for the courthouse, and we get the rest.
Those underwriters are pretty tough, I'll tell you.
To
yeah,
spend. Yeah, they get it first, take the payment, and then we get the rest.
yep.
And that's what this is about. I do know that. But,
Okay, I have a resolution establishing the OCJS Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Fund Program, Hazard Pay Fund. Again, this goes back to the grant Charlene received for us. She has two different funds. So establishing the OCJS Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program, Supplies and Equipment Fund. Just creating those two fund number 3215 and 3214. I have a resolution amending the unpaid assessments to the county auditor for collection pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 6117.02. That was approved September 9th. Apparently there needed to be some corrections done to that resolution. I have a resolution authorizing assessment refunds as determined by the Seneca Conservation District. There were some charges done in 2019 that shouldn't have been on there, so they are reimbursing the citizens for that collections.
That's the only thing I don't like about that.
Yeah.
It's pretty vague.
Pretty big. I got a whole sheet here, like 11
Well, I mean,
pieces of
yeah, I mean,
paper.
I'd feel more comfortable if there was an amount not to exceed or something.
For the refunds?
Yeah, it says authorized assessment refunds is determined by Seneca County Conservation District.
Yeah, it's, you have the total on here, but.
Okay, if there's something else attached to the
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, if you really want me to read these all,
No,
I
no,
can
I
read them.
absolutely
There's
do not.
652 lines of individual parcels with the amount that it's going to in that attachment.
Each, yeah.
Yep,
A
Total-
total of $87,000.
Yep, total $86,712.51.
okay. All right, if that's attached, I'm okay with it, but otherwise I think it's,
Yeah, sorry about that.
no.
There was just a lot to read through.
I get it.
I have a resolution authorizing Mike Kirschner, President of the Board, Seneca County Commissioners, to sign the Community Development Block Grant documentation ending 2023. We may have to amend that at the end of 2022, unless that's a good sign of Mike staying.
You want that to be 2022?
No, I'd like it to be 2023, but
I'm not gonna be here to sign it.
we'll change that. Resolution authorizing the emergency management service. It's actually EMA and the LEPC contract. They did a set cost this year for EMA to manage the LEPC for $25,000. Usually it was 90% of the grant funding EMA would get paid. They're looking to do a bigger project, so instead of doing the 90%, which was roughly $19,000, LEPC agreed to do $25,000. So we're entering into contract with LEPC to have John Spar EMA manage LEPC.
Seriously, going back to the resolution about the sign of development block grant, why
Yes.
don't we just remove my name and just say President of the Board of Seneca County Commissioners? Because the president during that period of time changes anyway.
Yeah,
So I think we could keep 2023 in there and just say the President of the Board.
okay. The only thing we'll probably have to do is just do a new signature card when the next one's in.
But you'd have to do that anyway.
Right. Make sure, I don't know, Charlene, if you're on, are they okay with that? I don't see
Yeah,
her.
I actually put Mike's name in there.
Oh, okay, all right,
So there should be.
okay. So we can change that to the president.
That's okay, Stacy.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, gentlemen, anything else you have there?
Nope.
Okay.
I make a motion. that
What is
we-
your,
I make a motion, we approve the supplemental appropriations presented by our county administrator.
Second?
okay. Any additional conversation? Hearing none, Kylie?
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Yes. Okay, the time is here for public comment. Jimmy, make the announcement if you will.
Yep, if you're on Zoom, you can hit the unmute button and come forward during public comment now.
Okay.
Mr. Shubaugh.
We had a wonderful time this morning, by the way, at Calvert High School, talking to a class of freshmen about projects that deal with, having to kind of start a business or whatever from scratch, and talking about the kind of things that, kind of community involvement ideas and that stuff, and a great bunch of kids, and a few questions, and good stuff.
You showed us where your detention room was.
Yeah, at Calvert, I did know where the detention room was, and the principal's office.
Still there, 100 years later.
Yeah. It's not quite 100.
Jeez.
Okay, there's nothing else. Do we need to, will we take a recess and then go into,
Well, since it's one, unless you guys want to take
no, I'm
just
saying,
a...
okay, but we don't need to adjourn anything?
No,
We can just
because
go right into budget hearings?
technically it's still
Okay.
still part of our meeting.
You folks are welcome to stay, obviously, as long as you want. We're gonna go into budget hearings
I'm
now.
proposing a 2-minute break.
Yeah, I want to use the bathroom.
By acclamation, we got a 5-minute break here.
I will be right back because neighbor's calling. Thank you.
And
3, 2, 1,
same rank,
fire.
everything, and
All right.
everybody getting us mixed up, calling me James.
We are back. We are going through a series of budget hearings.
Excuse.
The first one that we're happy to have with us is the Seneca County Veteran Services Office. Tara, what do you got to tell us?
Oh, I just came in, pop in. Every year we ask for a budget hearing so that you guys can kind of get a good feel for how we're doing. Last year didn't work out quite like we expected it to. I don't think it did for anybody. We got a little bit of a slow start. Things didn't start picking up till June. And then we had another hiccup with that COVID-D little bit that we had there. Things seem to be moving along better. We hope to expand the transportation services this next year once the VA picks up seeing veterans in person. They are seeing veterans in person. However, it's still a little bit slow. They still do quite a few virtual appointments right now.
Was there some legislation, or am I making this up in my mind, that veterans could go other places other than VA docs?
That is called community care.
Okay.
That is true. However, there are stipulations to that. The VA decides when that happens for a veteran,
I see.
not the veteran deciding.
Okay, so the veteran could just say, I'm going to go to my local doc, I don't want to keep going to...
Correct.
Okay, I got you.
I guess I did not know that, so it's good.
And that the VA would pay for if the VA says okay, the VA will pay for it. Like for me, for example, I have my military, I retired from the service, so I have TRICARE. I do go locally, however, I do use the VA also for my glasses, for example, because I get them for free.
You can use both systems. They're separate, but you can use both.
Okay.
If you're retired?
No, it's for any, what you're talking about is for any
VA,
veteran.
call our office.
Yeah, well, I mean, they made it
You are
sound
a
like...
veteran and
That's
you
the
want to
answer.
use
Right.
VA, call me.
But they made it sound like it was because of long wait times. So that
It
makes-
is.
It is.
If they don't afford you an appointment within 30 days or a timely appointment, then
they'll
you
refer
can be
Or you can...
outsourced to community
I
care.
got you. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Um,
I interrupted your presentation.
No, you're fine. No worries. It's always nice to see all of you. Our budget remains the same as what we asked for last year. I do hope to expand services, possibly bring in some new services to Seneca County to make it more enticing to young veterans, also veterans with disabilities. I gave you a copy of the VA expenditures for 2020. It's always a year behind. And you'll see there on the very bottom, that's the most important block. The 2020 federal VA dollars spent in Seneca County to county dollars. Every dollar you give our office to run and that we spend, the VA has spent $79 in this county. And so that goes to sales tax, property tax if they're able to purchase a home with the monies that they are awarded. That also includes health care, all of the benefits that come through the VA. So the total VA expenditures for 2020 was $23,601,735.98.
That's unbelievable, really.
We work hard out there. We play hard, but we work hard.
Big number.
Yeah, it's doubled since 2011 almost.
3,600 veterans?
Well, I've got to say, in the 8 years almost that I've been here, we have never had one conflict. As a matter of fact, it's been a real good feeling of cooperation with MAC and with you, Tara, over that period of time. And I know for a fact that other counties have serious conflicts with some of the
From time to
veteran
time, that
services.
is true.
Yeah, that's too bad. But anyways, thank you guys for running such a good ship because, we're certainly happy. I don't want to say this in any bad way, but the less we hear from you, the better off everybody is.
Well, we try to be in the news quite a bit because
Right.
we try to
Well,
be
but-
active with
right,
veterans,
but-
but it's always trying to be good, not
Exactly.
negative.
Good thing.
So it's
Yes.
not about money and it's not about conflicts or whatever with local authorities. So
Yeah.
you guys run a heck of a ship out there. God bless you for that.
Thank you.
And God bless our veterans for sure.
Thank you.
So as you can see this is the budget that she's presenting, $726,997.57 is what was certified by our auditor's office, so that's what we appropriate. And as you can see, just looking at it for full year actual, they don't spend that full millage, and it usually gets returned back to the general fund. So we always appropriate the full millage that's required, but they are very fiscally responsible. They get outside funding, and that's why you can see that the actual spent dollars back from 19, 20, and 21 are much less than what the budget actually is. They do a wonderful job.
Any questions from your side? Mr. Schubal or anything?
I wish they were all this
Really?
easy.
Are you, wasn't it a couple years ago you came in and bought a vehicle?
Yes, we
Was that
have,
when I
well,
first started?
that's one of the things that I would like to do. My dream would be to be able to offer veterans transportation every day of the week, Monday through Friday. A
Yeah.
bus in the morning to Toledo, a bus in the morning to Ann Arbor, a bus in the afternoon to Toledo, and a bus in the afternoon to Ann Arbor, so you could set your appointment anytime. Right now, my staffing level and the demand do not dictate that at this time. However, I do want to expand that. So basically, a veteran doesn't have to juggle anything. They just call the VA and get an appointment, because it can be tough to get an appointment.
So how do you do it now?
Then you have to get them.
We go every day of the week, Monday through Friday, to Toledo and Ann Arbor, but we do ask that veterans set their appointments between 9 and 1. We do realize that there are certain clinics, like the eye clinic and there's dermatology clinic. They do not see veterans during those hours, so we do make arrangements when necessary.
Got it.
So far we get along pretty well. I hope to hire a new driver if we get more demand and be able to do that expansion of trips.
Right. That's good service.
Vehicles are in pretty good shape at this point?
Oh, they're doing just fine.
Good.
Believe me, if since I am transporting veterans with disabilities most of the time, when a vehicle starts to get a lot of miles and nickel and dime me, the last thing I need is a veteran from Seneca County stuck in Ann Arbor.
Right.
So we usually come to you right away,
Good.
ask for a new vehicle. That way there's never an issue.
Good. I just want to thank you as well. I really have no comments other than appreciate
Did you
all your
introduce
service.
them?
I didn't. This is my commissioner, my at-large commissioner, Jody O'Million.
Jody?
And this is my VFW commissioner, Win Shuba.
Proud Marine over there. Lives up the road from me. That's, thank you, guys.
That black van we bought, the newest vehicle we got, is a lot smoother than the white one that we got rid of. I was fortunate to, as you probably know, I'm the president of our honor guard here in town too. And lately we've been trying to take like summertime little field trips. And part of our policy is like if something's veteran related to use these vehicles. And I finally asked this year. We went to Port Clinton, the Liberty Museum, and they allowed me to borrow the black bus for my guys, and we compared it to like the SCAT buses that we've rented before.
Yeah.
Driving. So I said, what's the verdict? So I can give feedback, and they said, oh man, what a difference. So it's a good vehicle if we ever need another one.
Have either of you met, any of you met Harold Brown, Tuskegee Airman?
Yes, I went to saw him speak.
Have you met him?
Yeah.
Still going strong?
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcia, I ran into her. He was in, I think, Minnesota speaking, 97.
The day we went up to
Doing great.
Port Clinton, they were waiting on him to show up. It was his birthday. And they had got what was it, the 29? What's that one in the hangar? They had it all they had all pre-fried, ready to go. So when they was hoping he would show up, but it didn't seem like he was going to come. They think maybe he got diverted to somewhere else for a birthday party or something. But yeah, they had the one plane ready to go for him to give him a ride that day. I was like, oh man, that'd been perfect if he showed up.
Special.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
You bet.
We have the Veteran of the Year dinner coming up on the 10th. I don't know if you received your invitations
We
yet.
did.
We RSVP'd.
Okay, very good. Very good, very good. We always look forward to that. Michael Nye is going to be the Veteran of the Year this year, and so,
Out of Fostoria, correct?
yes.
Okay. Now, remind me, was it November 11th or
10th.
10th? Okay. If it's in my calendar, just,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Look forward to it all. That's great.
With the 11th being Veterans Day, it's awful appropriate, right?
Exactly. Well, we always try to make it in conjunction with
Yeah,
Veterans Day.
right,
We,
yeah.
we try to do a big celebration for the Veteran of the Year in conjunction with that day.
I don't get nearly enough Swiss steak, mashed potatoes, and gravy, so.
Baked steak is a favorite.
Yeah, I know.
And there's so many different ways to prepare it. We had baked steak last night, as a matter of fact, at the commemorative dinner. And it was delicious.
I'm sure it was.
That was really good. I don't know what they did. We need to find out what they did. It was good.
Cooked it all day. Okay, any other questions?
No? I think we can,
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
All right. As riveting as your meeting is, I am going to depart.
Jimmy, are you gonna take us offline a minute?
We could. Are you going into a recess again?
Yeah, we'll go into a 5-minute, 10-minute recess.
Okay, yeah.
Good. Tell me when,
I'll get some chance.
Or tomorrow.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Oh, you bet.
I'll tell Teresa to ease her mind a little.
Yeah, tell her you got a lot of support here.
Okay, appreciate it.
Did you bring lunch with you?
We just ate
I
at
know.
the pub across the street.
I'm actually kidding, because we ordered.
No take-home box or
We
anything?
worked right through lunch today.
I eat well.
So you guys were at Calvert this morning.
We were.
It sounds a lot more fun than budget hearings.
It is.
Hey, I can't.
Anything's a
make
lot
it
more fun
tonight
than
till
budget.
5.
That's what Aaron said. I hear you're going to
I'm
Brown's.
going up to this, I hope it's worth it, yeah.
Good, well,
It's Cleveland.
We have a
Cleveland.
Steeler
Cleveland plays
family,
home
yeah.
tonight,
Yeah, they
yes.
play at home against Denver.
see
What's
what-
left of 'em.
Quarter about it, you
What's
know.
left of it, right?
We're getting dropping left and right.
You football fan? And Steelers?
I would venture to the, your colleague.
Next Sunday, the Browns play the Steelers, so that'll be, States will have to wear our shirts in.
She never takes us up on the bet, you know?
Somebody up here is a Steelers fan, I'm not gonna say who. You gotta go.
I'm not gonna say.
Are you guys ready for us? I have some.
We are.
Ready?
Are we on, Jimmy?
Yes.
I want to introduce Jeff McCutcheon. Jeff's the Director of Operations with OSU Extension. And Jeff's also a former agriculture and natural resources educator. And I know that's
Coming up, Jeff.
one of the things that we're going to be talking about is funding for that position here in Seneca County. So Jeff can really speak to the value that that position brings a community and so on. So we will be asking for an increase this year in our budget. Mike, I believe you were probably the only one on the board 3 years or so ago
Right.
when we developed the MOU between Seneca County, the board, and OSU Extension. And that brought us an ag educator to Seneca County, where there hadn't been one for, I don't think we'd had an ag educator here for probably 7 to 10 years prior to that. Of course, Holly Stacy was a big proponent of doing that. So the MOU basically said that the state extension would pay half of the county's cost share for the first 3 years of that position. So Hallie Williams, we hired Hallie, and Hallie started, time flies, Hallie started on October 1st of 2018. So those 3 years, have just ended, so to speak. Of course, Hallie has resigned her position, but we're hoping to refill that position.
The state agreed to pay for half of it again?
No.
Oh, I thought that was next.
We're hoping that was next.
That's next from us, yeah.
So, if we were to rehire that position, we would be looking for the county to pay the full cost share, since Ohio State's paid half of the cost share for those first 3 years of the position.
What was her salary, out of curiosity?
I don't know if I can tell you exactly what her
I think
salary
the
is, but
total cost with benefits was about 43,000, if I
Well,
remember.
that's
But
our share, right?
I do want to explain the cost share
That's a good
situation
question.
to you, how Extension's
So
funded.
there are state and federal dollars applied to educators. Every educator in the state, your 4-H educator, costs you directly $31,750 next year, $750. And then anything above that is the state and federal funds, but it's a cooperative agreement. We can't apply to the state and federal funds unless we have the local. That's what's written.
So when we add a second educator, it goes from 31,750 to 41,750,
Yeah.
capped at that.
If you were to hire a third educator, it's 41,750. If you were to hire
And then the state and feds pay everything above that,
That's
so.
right.
So, I got it, so that's the most, that is what we would pay.
That is your
Minimum,
cost
the
share.
max, that's our cost
If the
share.
person's making $50,000 or if the person's making $150,000, your cost share is the same.
Right. And you don't have to worry about benefits, because
Yeah,
that's
picked
also
up.
in the state and federal match.
In that first 3 years, like when they offered that incentive, or even continue moving forward here on out?
We had a little extra funding to the state level, we'll call it seed, if there's been a vacancy for a while, and there's been an identified need. Usually it comes through the advisory committee, you know, or others, and then we would come and offer that. But, you know, we've got 88 counties, and we can't do that for everyone.
Yeah.
So there's been some identified needs in other parts of the state that we would like to consider.
Just curious, so a county our size, how does this look in other counties? Do they have 2 educators? Do we, and I know we draw, like you represent, what, 4 counties?
5.
5 counties. So some people get moved around, they share duties. Help us just kind of.
I think it varies drastically. Jeff, you may be able to answer that better than I can.
Does probably the average would be 3 educators, but it's highly variable, depends on the local need and support, you know. So, you know, I'd have to look at some of the county demographic information to put that in perspective.
So the space, such as it is that our gift? I mean, we don't charge do we charge a rental fee there?
Not for OSU.
Pardon me?
Not for OSU extension, no.
I would say
in the revised code, it says commissioners will provide and of course that was written way back when.
Back in the day, yeah.
So it says a space to conduct business.
And I did say such as it is.
Right. Well, actually, if you read back in the code, I think it says for a telephone and to distribute bulletins.
Yeah.
But back then, that was the new technology at the time.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say when Hallie came, it was early in my tenure. She's been here, well, she'd been here almost a year.
18, yeah.
Yeah, so there wasn't a person there for 7 years. And so the job description or her duties to be performed when she got here were the details of all that was unknown. So along the way, her job kind of evolved, right? And so some of the things like the farmer's market and the master gardener, the bee, but then she started doing some other ag things, educational things. So I guess I've grown to understand what, at least with Hallie, you know, some of the things that she did.
So when that position description was written 3 years ago, there was really a focus on local foods. That seemed to be.
How that's okay.
I mean, not that was the only thing that she did,
Sure.
but I think there was more of a focus on local foods than there would be for some of my other position descriptions in A&R, and that was what the community needed and wanted. We believed at the time, and Hallie really fit that position well. You know, she's worked extensively with Common Ground.
Yeah.
As you know, all her work with farmers markets. They're offering SNAP. They can accept SNAP benefits, the produce perks now. There were 4 different. Like, she was instrumental.
I think she did a nice job. We saw her much more frequently as the time approached for the 3 year, but she did a nice job.
Yeah.
What was our net cost last year for Hallie to the county?
Well, the total amount we gave OSU was $122,400 was last year. We only gave 122,400 total. It looks like her salary was $20,500 that the county paid for.
So yeah, specifically for Hallie, you would have given that half of the cost share, which would have been $20,500.
Half of 41.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so the request is to leave everything the same, keep that person, and then double what we were paying for that second educator.
Yeah, you'd be paying the full cost share now, moving
So
forward.
we're asking for $20,500 more money.
Approximately, you know, as you see down there in some of the additional expenses, we reduced where we could. You know, the cost share went up $750 for that first educator and second. So I think it's an increase of $20,800. So it's right in that ballpark. So.
Did you guys use all your travel professional last year? Seemed like everybody.
We probably did not. There was more Zoom trainings and those types of things, so we probably did not use all of those funds, Mike.
Yeah, so it's a difference between the 143.2 and the 122.4.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, and basically it's that half a cost share.
Yeah.
And, also in this packet, and Tony, I know you know from sitting on our Extension Advisory Committee, and we just mentioned some of the things. These were some impact reports that Hallie and we put together about some of the things that she was able to do here in her 3 years. As you know, you start a new position, especially a position that had been vacant for 7 years.
Yeah.
Took her a while to meet people, get to know people, get her foot in the door. And she was really able to do some nice things.
That's why we recommended those like MOUs that you just went through. Those be 3 years because you're not going to show the true impact until starting in the second year.
Yeah.
It takes a while for the community to get to know you, and you get to know the community and how best to serve it. And there's no quick way. It's not an instant way to do that, except time and effort.
Why did that position go away previous to her?
I don't know.
Was it funding?
2008.
You said we were without her position for 7 years.
I believe it was funding.
Yeah, 2008, where a lot of the if you remember at that time, the counties were actually, when you think about the different levels of government, financially the counties were hit the hardest at that time with coming out from the recession.
Yeah.
And it became vacant, so at that point in time it's an easy, unfortunately sometimes it's an easy, okay, there's a cost savings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
They're just curious.
The decisions will be a product of where we're at with the total budget.
Yeah.
None of us are farmers, so I'd like to kind of channel some of Holly's.
I'm a farmer now.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. He is a farmer. He actually has
I do have a farm.
timber and.
No, I mean, I have crops, yeah.
Timber is a profitable crop. It's just a long term.
Go ahead.
Anyways, I wanted to channel some of Holly's enthusiasm because she was a real advocate for this.
She was.
In fact, I may give her a call and.
There's some
see what
testimonials
thoughts
that
are.
are
Now's not a
good.
good time, but.
I think you're right, Mike. We talked to a few people in ag. Would you change? If you brought somebody in tomorrow, would they do exactly what Hallie did, or what would you do different?
I'd have to look back at the position description. I don't know that there'd be a ton of change in the position description, but I think you have to understand everybody might not have her exact expertise.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, based on the skills and their background, they're going to bring a little something different to the table.
So is there some folks that really were affected by the education over the past 3 years? Whether it be an organization or individuals. If you could give us some idea as to who we could call and talk about how they felt about it.
The last page of the packet I gave you, Mike, has a lot of testimonials in it.
Oh, okay.
From some of those individuals that I think Hallie really did have an impact on. Whether they be Audrey from Economic Development. Audrey can really speak to how Hallie worked with some of the local foods groups. And then there's also some farmers and growers and things in here too. Now, we can help put you in touch with those individuals if you like, or we could even have them come in.
I asked you to do something you already did.
It's okay. That's
I guess
okay.
we're on the same wavelength, right?
I hadn't mentioned that part yet, but yeah, we did get some testimonials from some local people. You'll see in the impacts too, Hallie really worked a lot with the Farm Bill education. She not only presented at some of the meetings, she did a lot of individual sit-downs with local growers, which resulted in a lot of additional money in their pockets because of the advice, the consultation.
There's some complicated formulas and they had to apply.
Knowing what to
She
do.
figured that out, yeah.
In the last farm bill, they were faced with a choice.
Yeah.
Their choices, and she helped work them through based on their operation, what was the best for them. That was an opportunity with this farm bill. So having somebody here that can respond actually had that benefit.
And I'm guessing when that comes about again, those same individuals are going to come back and look for Hallie.
Sure.
Now, would there be, if the county has to look at our budget a little deeper, is there a regional representative that would still be able to help our citizens. I mean, it's great to have a local, obviously, but, you know, they've got decisions to make. And would those services go away? Would it be a regional service that,
So the way we distribute, I mean, we have state and federal funds, so that kind of means we serve all Ohioans. That doesn't kind of mean it does. So, you know, individual visits, because the other people would be housed in other counties. And so travel to Seneca to address something on the farms here would affect a different county's budget. So that's usually where the educators will say, you know, I have to serve my own clientele, but calls, email, other things will typically get shifted to surrounding counties, but it won't be the same level of service.
Sure.
Okay. Is there such a thing as, I'm just exploring, a joint education person for Sandusky and Seneca County, for example?
There have been in the past. That is hard as an individual who's done that for 6 months.
Okay.
You're just reacting because the questions you get in one county are the questions you're going to get in the next county, and you don't have an opportunity to move things forward or be proactive.
Got it.
It doubles the volume of calls is just doubled, and
Well, we have a lot of examples of that within the counties. You know,
Right.
Solid Waste District, for example, has one person that does 4 counties now, and Mercia does, you know, mental health for 4 or 5 counties, that kind of thing.
Yeah, as an educator, I'd done that when there was a vacancy in another county. It was a formal agreement for like 6 months, and the ability to to work with the farmers markets and those kind of things it takes a little bit of proactive approach from what she's done in the past 3 years, and that would have limited the amount of time to do something like that.
Yeah, something gives, but a half loaf might be better than no loaf. I mean, if that's one of our decisions.
Right, well, and you were talking about partnering with another county. Probably one of the things is finding I don't know if you could find another neighboring county that would want to.
Right.
But
I mean, I know that there are
that's
specific
the-
concerns about that as well. I'm trying to find a way to come to
Look at all
compromise
our
if we need
Yep,
to.
I get that.
I'm not sure we need to, but I want to make sure I understand it.
Are your 5 counties contiguous that you work with? They're all,
Yes.
yeah.
I have Erie, Huron, Ottawa, Sandusky, and Seneca.
Okay.
Huron County has a full-time ag educator. We're just hiring a new ag educator in Erie County. Sandusky County has a full-time ag educator as well. So the only other one of my 5 counties that doesn't have an ag educator is Ottawa.
And this is the best group of commissioners you come to.
That's right.
That's what I figured.
How did the negotiating with Ohio State go? I mean, as far as the extension office and doing the 3-year split cost, was that just for 3 years, or does that get renegotiated over time, or did they approach you? Did we approach them?
I think we approached the commissioner. That was a different structure, but I believe we approached the
Holly pushed hard.
I think Holly just pushed real hard.
Being a farmer, she thought there was a need that was underserved.
And then this program popped up somehow, and
But we want to support our farmers. Agriculture's this is my opinion, okay? Agriculture's a big part of Seneca County. It's just, for me, I just want to make sure that the investment of the citizens' money, we're getting a return for those farmers and all the people that are here. I mean, this is an opportunity to look at, hey, we had it 3 years, there's an opportunity here. Should we keep doing it? Shouldn't we do it? Should we do something else? So that's that context. And then number 2 is we have requests here that are it's a budget hearing. So we're going to have requests, way more requests than we have money. So I do like the fact you cut a few things but you've answered my question, so I'm going to put you right here and everything, and then probably make a few calls to a few ag people out and about, okay?
For sure, this probably included in there too. Do you have a job description for this educator?
I could provide you one.
Okay, would you do that? 'Cause
That Hallie operated under.
Okay,
Yes, I
I
can.
would, I think it might make it easier
Sure.
to absorb.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there somebody that showed interest in her position, or are you guys having like the same issues that everyone else is having right now as far as finding people to fill positions? Has that been an issue in your realm?
Applicant pools have been, it's gotten smaller, but there's still quality candidates.
I mentioned we were just filling Erie. I'm still in the offer process and things for that. And we had 3 outstanding applicants
Wow.
for that position.
good.
That position had a little bit more of a focus on horticulture. Obviously, as you look at the nurseries and greenhouses that are, up there by the lake, so a little bit different focus, but we had 3 outstanding applicants.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Really good.
That's great. Yeah.
And we're watching that because we hear the other
Yeah.
stories, but so far,
Yeah, no, I don't have any other questions. Anybody else?
Yeah, let us know if there's any other questions. Tony, of course, you sit on our Extension Advisory Committee, so reach out if you
Appreciate
have.
that. I think,
Well, I think I've grown to understand things out there a lot
Yeah.
better.
This is my first budget season with the county government. I've done it with the city for 12 years, so going through all this, I know we have $19 in a jar, but it wouldn't surprise me if between all the different departments they come ask for 26. Digesting everything,
Those
so.
tough decisions ahead of you, yes.
yeah, I mean, you guys have always been reasonable and we'll do whatever we can.
So
That's for sure.
so down in 4-H, we have over 1,000 people in 4-H in the county, right?
Yeah, actually,
It's pretty crazy.
Katie put together an impact report for 4-H that I'll share with you too. I knew that the,
Educator 1, in this case, Commissioner Chef, Katie Cole,
Katie Cole.
she will this is part of what she does. And I think Hallie they all support each other, but she was more in the adult, is that a fair way to say it? How would I word it?
Your audience are mainly adult.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, 4-H clearly is focused on youth development, even though we work with adult volunteers, although I will say, and you can see in Hallie's impact statements there, that she was really involved in starting a livestock judging team, which was, of course, a benefit to 4-H programming. And Hallie also coordinated a lot of the county skillathons, which our youth livestock members go through, and then top quality assurance. So, like you said, Tony, there was the partnership.
When you talk about horticulture, that was something she liked, because they have a herd. And
Yeah.
She grew up in Oklahoma or someplace.
She went to college in Oklahoma.
And, yeah, so
Yep,
she's
they have
been
a herd.
around judging.
Yep,
and-
yep.
Yeah, that was kind of a neat thing, really.
Yeah, I think we did some judging or livestock judging or something, Tony, didn't we? One Extension Advisory Committee meeting.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
So,
You got a
okay.
picture of Commissioner Thomas in here with his commissioner shirt on.
Yeah.
And the lady who Pat Overmeyer, 50 years volunteer service, my goodness.
I know, some of those
You gotta
volunteers,
appreciate that, don't you?
they stick around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, Katie's doing good stuff too. We didn't bring her along today because we thought the focus would be the A&R
Yeah.
program, but.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing it. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah,
for coming
good to
up.
meet you.
Where's home?
Just north of Newark, Utica.
Newark.
Newark.
Did I say that right? Newark?
Close enough.
Newark.
Is that Capital University?
It's like Nurgle.
No. Where, is there a university down there?
I know where, no, I don't think so.
Branch of.
There's a branch of OSU,
Okay.
there's Denison's nearby in Granville.
Okay, yeah. Denison's in Granville, right?
Yeah. But it's almost, nowadays, it's almost a suburb of Newark.
Okay. got
Okay,
it.
thanks, guys.
Tony, we'll miss you tonight. We'll
Yeah,
hope for a Browns
think
victory
think
for you.
I'll be eating my dog food. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're gonna recess for actual 10 minutes now, Jimmy.
Sheriff should be here in like 2 or 3 minutes. Do you just
Oh,
want to
sounds
recess
right.
until he's here?
Yeah, sure. we
Is
can
that
leave.
okay?
Oh,
Tuesday.
I told him he could probably come early because I had the sense that it was so. All right, we'll recess for
I'm gonna
until
go
Sheriff's
piece
here.
of garlic bread.
What's your budget at the city? I'm just curious.
3.2. Anywhere from 2.9 to 3.2. I think 3.3 was the biggest year.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Sold.
So,
That was easy.
Yeah, without the jail, it would be down there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back in session. So we have with us now, Sunny County Sheriff, Chief Deputy, and Fiscal Officer, I believe, right?
Personnel payroll manager, yes.
Personnel Payroll, Fiscal Officer, whatever title you give her.
We know how important they are.
Yes.
Stacey, you have any opening comments, or do you want to?
nope, I got budgets up, pulled it from VIP, so this is new using VIP analytics, so,
Okay, Sheriff Steve, it's your on.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. And after 10 months, 10 and a half months being in the position, I think through the trials and tribulations of all the stuff that was thrown at us, we're presenting what we feel is the adequate budget for the sheriff's office, which is an increase from last year. But the vast majority of it would be from the wages, the personnel benefits lines and wages, mainly because of the contractual issues that we saw this year. It took till August. They were supposed to be finished before the end of the 2020 when the contracts ended, but were pushed into this year. And in reviewing that, found out in a comparative analysis of the 7 surrounding counties and why we were losing so many people, we were the lowest paid in corrections, cooks, maintenance, dispatch, but not deputies. But we were second lowest, only by a few cents. So technically, we were the lowest surrounding areas. And I know in speaking with you guys during this process, your goal was to get an HR person in there and do the comparative analysis on all the employees in the county to try to get everybody to mid-range if they weren't currently. And so that's what we worked on over the last several months. And in August, came up with a contract that was agreed to by both sides, signed and put into effect, and that's where the large increases come from, because we had some initial increases right away for recruitment purposes, but also the retention by adding that step 4 in there for the long-term employees. So a large chunk of our increase is going to be from the wages increase on the salaries. In addition, we looked at some of the line items and were able to decrease in some of the line items because of the one-time stuff that we did this year. And if we can continue the way that we were going, we can at least try for the decreases in a lot of the line items there. So again, the 2 major increases on the jail side and on the road side are going to come from those employee salary lines. We asked for an increase, well, you gave us an increase this year on the jail side of 5 additional bodies. We were still not able to get those hired yet, only because we keep getting retirements, we keep getting resignations. So we're back to the staffing level, so we're hoping to get those next year. In the meantime, I've reached out to the state. I know when we talked earlier about trying to get that increase to the 2019 standards, and asked them, because of our long-term relationship with them, and until we can get these bodies hired, the give and go that we're keep getting with the people that are retiring, the people that are resigning, going to the court to work for the court. So two things interesting of that. They're very interested in us talking to them, not getting to that 100 level or the 120 range that we talked about with the 2019 standards, but until we can get to the 2019 standards, they did agree that we were the lowest of all the surrounding geographical physical locations. And interesting, he sent me an email chain that in January of last year, the past administration reached out to do the same thing. and they sent them the same paperwork to start that process. Now, the paperwork is pretty involved, and I have the jail administrator working on it right now. So there's stuff that you have to put in there from the previous budgets, your employee numbers, their pay, the hours worked, how many inmates and detainees and stuff. So we're working on all that process right now. So it stopped in that email conversation was one way from the feds to the past administration, and they could have went up to $77 had they turned in the paperwork and got the approval from the government. And so that's a difference of $19. So just in that $19, last year, per person, per inmate that's in there was $6,900. So basically we left $242,725 on the table last year by not getting that $19 increase. I'm hoping to get that this year, but I'm hoping also to not only get the 19 increase, but on the backs of that, once we get those 5 hired and stabilize that, we can get the 2019 standards and jump up to the 100 to 120. For the last couple months, we've been steady with the 35 that I have on that sheet that I gave you earlier in the year. We're actually at 39 as of today. My goal would be to get to 50 by the end of the year. But we're staying steady above that 35 number, which really shows in, I had them pull the number, the last accounting that we had with, as of August, so we haven't been paid for September, and obviously we haven't been paid for October, but we're at $439,556.30 that's been taken in, which is a bigger increase than the 14 bodies that we had when I first took over. So we've more than doubled the bodies back there, and it's showing in the increase. And Tony, you asked me a few months ago, if ICE went away, what would the savings be? So I had the jail administrator pull me all the numbers on that, and he was working on it for a while. So he was going off of 32 detainees, which we had at the time of June, in June when he started this. For food-wise, we would save about $52,910 per year at 32 detainees. Personnel, the jail will still need to maintain an officer number per shift at the 776 that we at with the 42 correction officers that we're at right now, not the additional 5. If there were no ICE program, we would only save money on the 5 additional officers that were requested to meet the 2019 standard. So that savings would be $58,836 a person. Total would save there is $294,836. For medical purposes, we would need to maintain 3 LPN positions and 1 RN roster, as well as a doctor's contract. With the ICE program, one of the 3 LPNs now would be an RN, so we would need 2 RNs and 2 LPNs. Without ICE, there would be a minimum savings of approximately $20,000 per year. There would also be a very minimal savings for over-the-counter medications and TB tests that ICE does not pay for, and he's estimated that'd be about $500. Supply-wise, each detainee is issued shoes, uniform, socks, underwear, sheets, blankets, mattress, etc. at approximately $117.67 per detainee. If you times that by the 32, there would be a savings of about $3,765.44. To transport, we supply at least 1 transport deputy per week for at least 4 hours to assist ICE at the Toledo airport for deportation back to the detainee's country. This would amount to a savings of approximately $1,100 a year. So without the ICE program, we would not have the expense of overtime for officers involved in the inspection processes that we do 3-4 times a year, and that are prior to the inspection and during the inspection, as well as compliance-driven duties all year long. Generally, there are 2 officers assigned specifically to the inspection preparation duties 3 weeks prior to an inspection. During the week of the inspection, there are at least 4 officers specifically assigned during that week. Wages of those above listed for a 4-week period of time would be approximately $5,000 in savings per inspection. At 4 inspections per year, basically would equal around $20,000. So the total amount that we would save approximately is $397,611.21. So just under $400,000. And as you can see, just this year, we brought in $439,000 as of August's date. So we're gonna make more money towards the end of the year. We're 39,000 to the good right now, that we've made on top of that, without the additional.
That's
So-
32 bodies, correct?
That's at 32, right, yeah. And we've been steady for the last couple months at 35. That was as of June 14th when we had 32 in there. When I came to you the month prior, we were trying to raise those numbers up, so. So that's on the jail side. And things are going pretty good other than the equipment. I think I just sent Stacy a email yesterday on our washer in the kitchen, 14 years old, and it's finally given its last hurrahs or whatever. I was hoping there was ARP money for that, so we have to look into that. On top of the washing machines that were 14 years old, it just goes to the lack of planning and the lack of I guess strategic budgeting on how old are your equipment, when do they need to be serviced, when do they need to be replaced, what's the lifespan and stuff like that, which we're putting a plan of action on all the equipment there this year. But things just keep hitting us in the face on that.
Have you considered leasing those by chance?
What's that?
Have you considered leasing those by chance, like the washers and dryers? There's companies that'll do that where they take care of all the maintenance, something goes wrong with them, they switch them out.
We have found that when you look at the lease options, it's nice for businesses.
Thanks.
However, calling somebody at 3 in the morning, you're washing, when they're doing some of the laundry or whatever, we don't get the services that they say that. So we haven't really looked at leasing, but we can. 14 years is a pretty good run on commercial equipment, especially if you can extend that by making sure that the maintenance levels and stuff like that are good. The boiler has to get a part, that's $3,000, and hopefully we get that replaced tomorrow. But again, it's a lot of it comes down to maintenance issues and the preventative maintenance you put into it, which costs money, to have the inspections done quarterly or whatever, and those things have been kind of kicked down the curb, and we're trying to stop that and get to a proper cost estimate of what this stuff is going to cost us to replace, but what it's going to cost us for the preventive maintenance as we go down the line. On the roadside, I know that Tony had asked me also earlier in the year, or maybe Commissioner Schuff did, I can't remember which one, about the surrounding areas and what are the comparisons are for when I came back in June for the additional 4 deputies and dispatcher position. So in talking with all the surrounding sheriff's offices, these are the numbers that we got that were comparable to our positions. And obviously we're per size, per population, down from the other agencies, even some of the ones that are smaller area-wise or whatever. To provide that adequate service, like I said back in June, is going to require some additional personnel that will give us the ability not to have 2 deputies out there by themselves multiple times a week. As was shown in the Bettsville shooting that we just had, where the guy shot at the deputy and the trooper, we only had 2 working that night. Fortunately, we had a lot of help from the troopers, the surrounding county agencies, Fostoria, Tiffin, that were able to come after the fact and help us after we had secured the person into the baseball field. But had anything else come in throughout the whole rest of the county, we had nobody to release from the scene to go handle a domestic or an accident or anything like that. So again, it's one of those situations where it's not going to be every night that you have situations like that, but for a safety issue, it goes back to the maintenance of the vehicles and the mileage being put onto them. And I have an update on that. We still don't have the 3 of the 4 vehicles that were authorized. 1 is in service. One of the used ones from Tiffin is in service. We still got another one coming from them. The Attica one was put into service. That was a used one. So hopefully in November, it's a parts issue. So the vehicles, we did some finagling and we got 2 vehicles, but the parts for it to equip it to actually be on the road, is the supply problem that we're having right now. So hopefully in November, those ones will be on the road at the end of this month, early November. The Ford 150, the two that we had, or three that we had purchased from them, we've only gotten one that we want built, and that was the one that was pulled. The other two still haven't been pulled, so those are gonna extend into next year. And Ford doesn't have any problem carrying those, so whether or not we get the vehicles that we're requesting or not, they can sell them. I mean, they're not gonna have a problem selling the Ford 150s. But the one was pulled and allegedly started to be built on September 15th. Doesn't mean that it'll get to the end of the line and there's no chip to put into it, or the parts, we already had the company start to order the cage and the stuff like that, but some of the equipment they were told might take, anywhere from 7 to 17 weeks, for those parts and pieces to come in. And this is across everything. You're hearing it on the news right now. It's not just police stuff. It's not just vehicles. It's the food. It's the toys. It's everything. So it's just another thing that we're going to have to deal with. And it might even be pushed into the second or third quarter of next year, they said, before they even put out the 2022 models for police vehicles or cars that you can order. So we're gonna have to make do with what we have. So there's no guarantee, even if we're authorized to purchase another set of vehicles, that we're gonna even be able to get them before August of next year. So that's just something that we're gonna have to deal with. I know that Wyandotte County has been placing prisoners with us. We've been having 4 a day with them, so we're up to about almost $2,500 of collections that we've collected off of out of county. So I'm trying with other sheriffs as well to be able to house inmates in the facility as well, but that's extra that we didn't have before, so that's being covered.
Do you charge the same rate as ICE?
Yeah, we were, just to be fair, but if it goes up, then that'll go up as well, so, yes. If you can see on the enforcement side, I'm still put into the budget of those additional 4 deputies and 2 dispatchers to get us to the 8. We were hoping to get to 7 this last year and then 8 next year. If you can look across where it says dispatchers across all the counties, you will see that we're woefully behind. And liability-wise, that concerns me with the stuff that we have. The FMLA issues that we have, with some of the dispatchers and puts us down to 4 and 5 sometimes. We were doing 12-hour shifts here for a little bit. So without having that to be able to have that backup, that professional backup, puts us and you and the taxpayers into liability, and that's why a lot of the other counties have already seen that and increased their numbers. Now, some of these counties also, the higher number ones, 17 and 16, those are multi-juris dispatch centers, so they dispatch for the whole county. So they've absorbed the other dispatch centers, and those entities pay the county their fees and to do the dispatching.
How many, on your spreadsheet here, which counties do not have jails?
All of them have jails.
Okay, so we would get Wyandotte, we're getting their overflow?
Yeah, well, they have the oldest facility
Yeah,
in the
old
state of
small
Ohio.
jail.
It was built in 1850. They only have 11 beds.
Okay, so, I have one follow-up question. So, we average, 120 local?
As of last night, we, local?
Yeah.
Yes. We had 39 ICE. We had a total of 172 inmates when I got my email last night at midnight. So 39 off of that, that's what we're average on the local side. And that local could be they're waiting to go to prison, or they're just adjudicated here because they're
If we did,
TCAP.
in other words, if we got rid of ICE, we would have, that comes to 130.
Yeah, you'd still be, yes.
130. Okay, so population 55,000, we have 130 out there. trying to compare, this is a good comparison on the road, but if we looked at everybody's jail facility,
So I got some of your numbers here. Huron
Yeah.
County has a 134 bed facility, and they're running 47 jail employees. Otto County has 70 or 80, 87 bed facility, and it looks like they're running 38, sorry.
Where's Ottawa County's jail at?
In that tall building that they have, the sheriff's office building, take an elevator to go to their floor. It's a pretty old facility too. He's trying to build a new jail up there too. This is the last one that I got. The rest of them didn't respond to me. Crawford County has a 127 bed facility, and their employees are 25, 31, 33.
okay?
By the way, when we were in Ottawa County for the solid waste district, the Ottawa County Sheriff had nothing but good things to say about Seneca County, and he's your office.
Oh.
So I'm good.
Sheriff Levorchuk's a good guy. He's given me a lot of advice. All the surrounding sheriffs have. I gotta admit, especially during the weather. When I first came in January, we were in a text group together.
Yeah.
We tried to coordinate, especially the closer ones like Wyandotte County and Huron County and Erie and Hancock and Sandusky. We all tried to really coordinate those because of the people that live here and work there, or vice versa, so they'll all be on a level 1 or 2 at the same time.
Well, the bigger picture is, Sheriff Stevens, is that we're all trying to be fiscally responsible
Yes.
as we can. And I will say that at the beginning. There's no question that that's true. From our standpoint, we've got a $5.9 million 2021 budget. I don't know how much we're going to exceed that, but that's where we started, right?
What's that?
5.9 million.
Yes.
Okay.
We started out with, yes.
So 7.4 proposal is about 25% increase, and I understand that much of that is approved, either wage increases or additional personnel. Most of that we can't avoid, and that's why I said 1,000 times.
Right.
I'm happy to do things that aren't going to create ongoing expense, but we got to be careful of ongoing expense. So we've got to reconcile it at some point. Once we get everybody else's numbers in, we'll know what we got to spend.
Right.
And I don't know what percentage of increases people are going to be asking for. There will be some. So from our standpoint, just to let you know that there are other people out there chirping at us about more money.
I know we're not the only ones.
No, I know. And, we've got, of course, EMS on our minds as well.
Yep.
So just be patient with us.
We will.
We'll look at this stuff very seriously. And, again, as I speak for all three of us, I know it's, public safety is certainly a high priority.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, like, you have been doing this a while.
Yeah.
Your 7th time through, right?
Yeah, 7 times.
Okay, just, I get to sit to the left of this.
That's right.
So I have a couple questions, Stacy, maybe everybody can help me. So when I look at your payroll, on the road side, make sure you have the sheets right. Page 1, 2, 3, okay. So on the jail side, your proposed is plus 600,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and on the road side, we're plus $1 million. No. Where am I at? Stace?
I think it says
That's
874.
Plus 500,000.
Yes.
For a total of, is it 1.1? I had 1.6 before I started talking.
Well, I like your 1.1.
Well, yeah, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. So if I look under the jail, it goes from $1,000,004 to $2 million, is that correct?
Right.
Actually, the actual this year was $1,306,000, Tony.
Yeah, the actual.
So that's about 700,000.
Okay, yeah, okay, so let's look at actual instead of budget.
Okay, but that's not all, because you got to add back in workers' comp.
Yeah.
And all those other things on the bottom here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm trying, I'm gonna have a follow-up here. So are we plus 700,000? Is that what you're saying, Commissioner, in the jail?
Well, full year actual of 2021 is projected to be, I think, $1,306,000, because that can't be a final number, it's gotta be a projected number, if you're showing it as a full year.
Okay, and then.
That's what we budgeted for last year?
So
or
if
that's-
you, I added the column on the screen, if you see it, so 600,000 is,
You just added it because I don't have it.
yeah,
Okay.
yep,
Oh.
I just added it because you guys
Bear
were,
with
you guys were trying to do that, so I
I'm
just
looking
added
up there too,
that.
because I don't have
Yeah,
that.
okay, so we
Yeah.
have 600,000 there, and I don't care what line, okay, that's the first one. Let's
This
go
is
to the
personnel
road
for the
side.
road.
Thank you for making it bigger.
Go to the road side.
Make it a little bigger. So yeah, so this
So
is,
that's 2259, Commissioner, up to 3. So I don't know how we're doing the math.
Are you on the
we using
jail?
Column Q or column W?
Yeah, we're on jail. Top line salary employees, jail.
right, so the increase would be 600,000 for the roadside. The top section of this is roadside, the next section is jail, so this is road. We're looking at road, so that 600 includes the extra deputies and the dispatchers?
Yes.
What's in that 600,000?
Right.
Okay,
But again, that's not the whole story, because
No.
you got,
Right.
you got workers' comp, you got PERS,
Medicare,
Yep.
Medicare,
PRS.
workers'
Yep.
comp, et cetera.
So an additional 89,000 for PRS and,
so we gotta say,
8,700.
just can we say 689? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's probably closer to 700. If you throw in everything that's related, Medicare, additional training,
For compensation.
PERS, workers' comp.
Okay, so, road and dispatch, we're up 700,000
and payroll.
payroll. Okay,
So
just
close.
follow me on this, because
It's
I've
probably
got,
closer to 8 with benefits. PERS, et cetera, right?
well, we went from 6 to 7, didn't we count it there, or we didn't count it?
You counted the 89 in the PRS.
Okay.
We counted the
So
100.
total increase, 874 is for all the increases and some of the decreases he's put in. So the total adjustment from the original budget to what is requested, just on the roadside, is $874,348.68.
Of which 700 is payroll.
Correct.
For my part, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
can we do the same for the jail?
Yep.
Yep.
So the jail, just payroll is the 494, just salaries alone, then obviously the 91 and the 7 for PRS and Medicare. But the total with the increases and some of the decreases he's put in from initial budget to what he's requesting for 2022 is an additional $601,536.64.
Okay, so of that,
Trying to make it bigger so you guys.
About 600,000 of that one is the payroll, is the Medicare pension, PRS.
is it 490, okay, so it's 494 plus Medicare?
Plus the 91 and the 7.
Okay, so give me a number. We're using 700.
1.5, I mean, those two, that'd be
So you're
about
making
1.5
that-
right there.
Yeah, maybe 1 point.
Close enough to 1.5.
And then the bottom one is just court security.
security.
Now, I
Okay,
don't,
just stay with me on payroll because I want to make a point.
okay.
I'm going to
Well,
get.
court security includes payroll.
Okay, so give me payroll, and then we'll go back to Commissioner Kirschman Shuff and all of us, okay? So we're 700. And I know there's another column that encapsulates everything. But I'm just talking payroll, because I want to make a statement. Okay, so it's 700,000, road, dispatch, okay? The back end is 494 plus something for Medicare and all that, right? Can you give me-
Almost another 100,000 when you do Medicare and the
That's right.
PRS.
Okay, so do we make it 600 total? Can I
For the
round it?
jail.
Stacy, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm adding it up, so.
We have the audit committee and we have, okay. Now,
So the 699 is just payroll with benefits, and 593 just in payroll and
Pretty
benefits.
close. So 7 and 6 is
Yep.
1.3.
Okay, so you're good with 1.3.
Okay, we're going, sure.
All right, so it's 1.3.
1.3
I'm holding
here,
you to that.
1.3 there, please,
Okay,
you're
so
real light,
this is
yeah.
my question, and then just, and again, so we're all talking the same language. Okay, so you're proposing 1.3 more. I circle back, and I've got two comments. One, year 2, the differential from current is 441,000. This came from
Clemens Nelson.
Clemens Nelson.
When we were
So
doing that.
of this 1.3, next year, 441 of that is just basically
The
contractual agreements.
obligations, right?
Yeah, and I feel good about that. I mean, we needed to do that. We're rewarding the people working
Agreed.
there. 441,000 of that. So far, am I okay so far? All right. Then, we haven't hired the 5 people yet.
Correct.
So if I was taking some notes, that's about 60,000 a piece, a little less than that, that's 5, that's another 300,000. So 58,836, right? We're 5 people short in the back.
Yes,
So is 300,000 right now?
yes, 294,
Okay,
836, right?
so we need another 300,000 because we're gonna, okay, so that equals 750,000. Right, so you got 441 that we've already approved, it's gonna happen. And if you hire those 5 in the back,
Correct.
that takes it to 741. Am I missing anything?
No.
Okay, so let's make it 750. So the difference between 1.3 and 750,000 is 550,000.
So we got dispatchers yet.
2 dispatchers, 4 deputies.
And then this is that whole request that we've,
Yeah, back when we
and that,
put on the table till
so
budget.
now we have 2 dispatchers, what'd you say? I'm sorry. 4 deputies.
4 deputies, yeah. So 6 people again, call the same number.
Right.
That's 360, 400.
Okay, now, we say these one-time things. You know, so the budget was 5.9, and you're gonna finish the year at 6.9. So you're gonna have spent $1 million more in your budget, but yet, we haven't hired those 5 in the back, and we gave those raises retro back to the first.
Correct.
So that's an impact of 344,000.
Right.
Okay, so there's 550,000 that went somewhere. Is that one time, did anybody else get raises, or am I missing something? So is that one time, are these things that,
It might not be, it might and it might not be.
Right.
Because some of them were contracts, like for software contracts.
Correct.
And those kind of things. Some of them were just a new desk.
Yeah. Those were, what you're talking about, that was not residual.
those
is
are
what you're talking
decisions
about.
you felt you needed to do?
Correct.
All of you, leadership, to whatever, get to
To
where
get where
we're
we're at today, yes.
Okay, so okay, I'm okay for now.
Okay.
Absorbing this, okay?
Yes.
I know this is an aside. Do we have any idea where GL Cap is with that grant?
I emailed her on Monday to
I
see
know.
if she had an update, and she didn't have an update. They're still in final review.
My thought is, and talking to the other sheriffs at another meeting we had, is that there was such an overwhelming request of the almost 480 million for, out of 88 counties, of the 50 million that's in there, 56 counties put in out of 88 counties for the 50 million, that they probably are scoring it so that everybody gets a little bit of something, so that they, don't get the pushback, but everybody's not gonna get everything.
All the sheriffs don't show up.
I got a call from Reineke too, just a minute ago, or a little bit ago, and from Click. They've got some extra money still, specific for prisons.
Oh,
That was put in the budget, so, and we've been asking about that as well.
so our best guess is they're dragging their feet because they're trying to please everybody when they do put it out, try to give all 56 something, but I don't know.
Well, it's almost the other thing, I think. I think we're trying to accelerate it because they got the capital budget coming.
Okay.
And if they still got some residual money for certain things, they're gonna get less money for these kind of things in the capital budget.
Oh.
So they wanna disperse this stuff.
I see what you're
so they
saying.
can get the new.
I didn't know about the other
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the sense that I get, but I don't know.
Okay.
Usually you're right.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be, the earliest would have been the end of August or first week of September, and we're way past that. So I'm surprised they haven't announced the awards yet.
Okay. Does anyone, do any of these counties create revenue from their jail?
I didn't ask that question if any of them do out of county, not that I know of, and you're talking with any of the jail administrators?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that we're aware of. They don't, well, A, they don't do the federal thing. And if they do out of county, it's probably just hit or miss here or there, you know, hey, can you do this for this weekend until, because when I was at a conference with Sheriff Fry is when he asked me from Wyandotte County, because their court was starting to pick up the pace of putting people into jail, and he just doesn't have the room, the volume for it. And because we're right next to each other, it just makes sense. So he asked me about the bed space, asked me what the price would be, and so this is what we agreed on until the increase goes up.
So how many beds do we have?
205.
Okay, so we officially have 205. So
Correct.
we have the largest jail.
Correct.
In the area.
Yes.
And there's several in the 130s, and I think, what was Sandusky County, like 89?
They're in 85.
90, 85.
Yeah.
85 bed facility.
Crawford's 127.
Yeah. Okay.
Ottawa was 80 or
87.
yeah, 87.
We're 205.
Huron was 134.
Okay, so has this, you guys holding F3s, is that taking effect yet?
There are some TCAPs in there right now, but they're not the F3 ones.
Will it,
The F5s and the F4s.
will it have any effect, significant effect? I don't know the difference between F3 and F4.
Yeah, well, the lower you go.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I
F1 is
know the
yeah.
difference, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I don't know what offenses,
Yeah.
you know.
So far, we haven't seen any of those issues there.
Okay.
What we are seeing a lot of is the mental health issues and the suicide watches and the stuff that are draw on our resources, because a 10-minute suicide watch, every 10 minutes, we have 5 people on there right now.
Wow.
So one booking officer is trying to do multiple things and get those 10-minute watches in at the same time, because NOPH is full, their bed spaces. I've been on the phone all morning trying to get these people out of our facility so that they can go get the help that they need. But I mean,
The thing I remember most about the first time we got to go to a cop station when we were kids was this downtown Tiffin, they had that padded cell.
Padded
the padded
Is it
room,
still down
yes.
there?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it's it's a training room now.
Yeah.
Well, it's the evidence
Yeah.
room now. Yeah, sorry.
that really
but-
puts a shock to you there.
It does. So yeah, it's not going to get any better.
Is a lot of it because the developmental center releasing a lot of people, or is?
Plays a small part of it, but I think a lot of it is with what's going on with the COVID, the shutdowns, the stress of all of that, the social construct of not being able to go do what you want to do, and then they don't go to appointments, they don't go to get their medication. There's problems all across the board on that, and that's not even counting. We didn't even get into what we talked about yesterday at Homeland Security, the food contract, or the food stuff that we have.
Yeah.
We're getting told for the last 2 months, my food supervisor's been telling me items haven't been there. So they've suggested, here's some comparable items, but then they don't even put that into the supply order.
I know, that scares me because of the cost of food.
Yes.
Hopefully somebody else is going to absorb that.
Yeah, I kept ours the same,
Yeah.
but I don't know what it's gonna. I don't know what it's gonna
Yeah,
be.
I'm just afraid that thing is going to happen in a hurry.
We have calls into the state right now because if we can't meet the caloric requirement that the
Yeah.
state puts out by the state dietitian, what are we supposed to do? If we don't have the canned goods or the, meat, and to make your, whatever you say it is per meal, then
Well,
what do you want us to do?
We're chef required to do it, you're trying to do it for $1.50 a meal, and all of a sudden it's costing you $3.
Correct.
To get the requirements made, and now we're digging a hole.
If you could even get the supply, so
Yeah.
we're
Add some salt to it.
yeah. She's trying to do several orders ahead and canned goods stock up, but on the perishables, sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not on her orders. So in the contract that we were talking about, that would have brought in some more revenue. I'm trying to get revenue bringing in. We're probably going to have to suspend that for the next 6 months until we see how this supply chain, because I can't afford another 300 meals if I can't even meet the meals that for our facility ourselves. And I've already been in talks with them and they understand that. So,
Stacy, what other questions you have here?
One of the questions, not jail security, court security.
yes.
It didn't go down much in your budget. Are you anticipating still having 2?
3.
You're going back to 3.
So it went down because it's not a lieutenant's pay, because
Okay.
we took the lieutenant out at the beginning of the year and he's back in the jail. He's going to end up being the jail assistant administrator at the end of the year, or at the beginning of next year. And the reason we're adding one to it is because right now, when one of them takes vacation or one of them is sick, then we have to take one of the transport officers or the work release officer or overtime from somebody else to go work that. So by just putting somebody there, that will only be there to fill those positions when they're on training, sick, or vacations. So that's why it's lower, because it's not the same pay rate as a lieutenant. It's actually lower.
Okay. And that's,
So it'll be like basically 2.5, 2 people there and a part-time, even though he's not part-time, he's full-time, but he'll be stationed there when they have extra needs.
okay, so not a new position.
Not a new position,
You're
no.
just moving some around.
Moving a regular CO to that position rather than a lieutenant.
Okay. And Lex can get me this afterwards, just so I see the number. Can you break down the cost of just the new people that you're asking for?
Oh, yeah, I can do that for you,
Can
yes.
write that down?
Yep, absolutely.
Just so I know what that is.
Yep. We'll get you a separate sheet on that.
So if we were to, we will have this discussion too, Sheriff. Are we gonna have raises or not raises for everybody in the county? And, what percentage would that raise be, et cetera? So that would affect your front office people, right? So if everyone in the county got X raise, not the ones under the contract,
Right.
the others would have a raise.
Okay, I think is that built in your projections?
Yeah, the 1% that's in the
You go for
contract
everybody?
was already, yes, was already
They
built
got
one
in there. Yes.
front.
Yeah.
Well, they got
So it
the
would be
Me Too, right?
manageable.
They have the Me Too, so if you end up giving 2, then they get the extra 1%. The union people. do.
Okay, but that, I'm already counting 2 here. When I say 441, that's at the 2% raise.
Okay, that's fine.
But I'm saying that you have other employees that work with you that aren't under this contract.
I would,
No.
probably 6,
Just 6 people.
5 or 6, yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, the rest are all union out there, yeah.
I guess that was
There's
the
5
question.
unions out there, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So we've got that, right, we've got it pretty well covered.
Yeah, that was built into
The
that.
numbers. In other words, if we give everybody in the county a 3% raise, it's not gonna be more payroll than what he has
Yeah,
here.
it would, because.
Yeah.
It's 3%, yeah.
Yes, 1% is only built in.
Yeah.
So anything extra than that would have to be
Yeah, so
added to
if
that.
we give everybody a 2% raise, we got.
1 more percent would be added on top of
Except
that.
for the sheriff, his is fixed.
Mine's fixed, I don't get any raises.
Ours is.
Actually, you do get a raise this year.
Well, yeah.
All electeds
The
do.
state, all
Check with Julie,
elected.
we
do.
Yes, you
Check
do.
with Julie on that.
Yeah.
And revenue, I know we're not budget commission, but.
I see, 3%'s another 100. I'm sorry, Stace, I get that off my mind. That's right, Mike.
There's a vending line that's in your revenue, and it looks like it would normally set at 120, and it was dropped down to 75,000 this year in revenue.
Oh, is that the
Wasn't sure.
supplies in the jail?
Well, no, on the revenue side,
On the revenue side?
that you would have submitted to
I don't have that.
the auditor's office. And I can talk to Lex afterwards if you need me to, but it was just some of the revenue lines had decreased.
Okay.
So I was just trying to figure out if you're expecting something, if you're not getting.
Do you remember what that was? Or did Diane do that?
That would be Diane.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
okay.
I'll get
All
with
right.
her
I'll talk
and
to
find
her.
that, yeah.
Okay. And then it didn't anticipate any increases for obviously the ice. The 750 was still put in place for the.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be
change
more
it.
than that, but
Right.
I didn't want to do unrealistic.
Sure, okay.
In case something happens and we don't keep the 35 plus numbers up there. Because if nothing changed, let me find my chart. Oh, there it is. If nothing had changed next year and we didn't do anything, don't get the $77, don't get the 100, and we stay at 35 detainees, that would bring in 730,000
For next year?
for next year, 730,800 at $58. But if we get the $77, which is $19 more, then it would end up being, shoot, I have the 242,000.
242,000 more.
But that 242,000 more than that, yes, correct, yeah, on top of that, so it would be at 9.7. 970,000, sorry, 970, just under $1 million. If we just get the 77 and stay at 35 for the rest of the year, but that's not my goal. My goal is to get that 2015 or 2019 standards and get up to that 100 or between 100 and 120, negotiate that. But we are going to get the 77 as soon as we fill out this paperwork and do the talks with them. That's my goal, as soon as possible.
To me, unless I'm missing something, unless I'm more optimistic than I need to be, if you fill all 5 of those positions and the nurse, is there any reason we wouldn't be 2019 standards?
No.
Okay, so it's not a matter of, it's just a matter of when. So
Correct.
hypothetically, sometime next year.
If people stop resigning and retiring, I can catch ahead.
And I get it, yeah.
Gonna happen.
But assuming all that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, a year from now, we should be, and it might not be a year from now.
Yeah, it's gonna be less than a year from now.
Yeah, okay.
Because
So then-
we've changed some things around. We can only train, well, before they were only training 1 at a time. We upped that to 2. But we have some female issues with the ones that are retiring or resigning are the female, so we gotta get those replaced. So right now, we are currently training 3, which is the most we've ever trained at once, and that's a 4 to 7 week process. So it's not just hire 5 people and then boom, we're at that number. You gotta do it in stages, and then during the 4 to 7 weeks, we get hit with the retirement or we get hit with the resignation or something, then.
So if we stay
puts
at
us back.
$58 and sometime next year, we hit the 2019 standards. Do not pass go, we'll skip the $77 and you
Yeah.
would go to somewhere in the $100 range.
Well,
Am I
we're
missing
not
something?
gonna be able to skip it because it's gonna take a while to get that 5, to get to the 2019 standard. So my goal is within the next
Yeah,
month
to get the 78.
or 2 before the end of the year, we'll be at the
77.
77.
Yeah.
So we'll start the year out, if not right before it, at that $19 more
So
rate.
the rate you feel you can charge in the back will go out. The part you don't know is how many inmates you're gonna have.
How many detainees? Now,
Is that the
it's
right
still,
word? I say
yeah,
that
it's
is
still the
detainees.
detainees, yeah, it's still that they can give me more, but I don't have the bodies and I don't have the RN to do those critical care ones that need the blood pressure check.
So we're not
and
factoring
medicine
that in,
issue.
but we're.
But as soon as I get the extra RN hired, which we're in the process of negotiating with one right now, we can start upping slowly again. So we're at 39 right now, when we were at 14 when we first started this talk. And we were at 35 for quite a while. So I have no doubt that I can get to that 50 number, just 11 more by just a phone call, but I don't want to go too fast before all the other pieces are in place. Because it does put stress on the medical, the doctor, the booking, and when we have 5 suicide watches and all this other stuff. So it's a juggling act. It really is.
I'm good for now.
What is our call volume out there? I mean,
For
your.
on the
just calls?
roadside,
Yeah.
right now, I think the last I looked at, we're right around 7,000, 8,000.
Total for this year?
For this year so far, total.
So how do you get typical
Which
new
is up.
immigration a detainee, ICE calls you and says, I got somebody in
Correct. Yep.
Mansfield, come and get them?
Yep. Or they drop them off. It's usually typically that they bring them to us.
Wow.
But we can do that. That was part of that email too, is that they requested us to give them a price. This was at last year's, when they were trying to negotiate the stuff, of doing some extra transports for them. And if we would give them, and I have our people working on it now, that how much cost would it be on our vehicles, on personnel, hourly wage? You give us a number and we could throw you some work during the week to do some transport, since we're geographically located between all the airports and stuff. So that could bring in some extra revenue.
These are really the unlucky guys, because it seems to me they don't have the skills, because, they talk about now, without trying to get too political, but there's, a lot of them coming over in a bunch, and then the no-see-ums, the families are there, the other guys take off,
Right.
and never are processed. So these guys,
Maybe we just sit down
Must
by
be.
the Rio Grande and wait.
they must be the slow ones.
Well, and some of them are criminals though too. Some of them do have
So you go pick 'em up.
cases that are waiting to be adjudicated and
Yes.
stuff like that in the
Yeah.
federal court, so.
Did you ever keep track of how many different countries you've had prisoners from?
No, but I know that it's quite a few, because we get different embassies calling us, we get different mail from the different countries and stuff like that,
So
so.
we had a protest, how long ago, out here?
I do remember that,
A while ago,
yeah,
Before my time, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll volunteer to them.
yeah. I stay
Did
in
you
pretty
talk
good
English?
contact with all the surrounding big cities, groups that want to do that kind of stuff.
Good.
And I got a lot of inquiries when I first came about the COVID stuff. And once we showed them the numbers that we're offering them the shots, that they have access to the masks and the gloves and all that other stuff like that, I didn't hear anything back from them. So just being upfront with them and transparent seemed to help.
Okay,
Well, thank you.
The only
You're
other
welcome.
contract
Thank you.
is the fuel contract.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dale keeps calling me.
Yeah.
And this will be an odd question, are your deputies gonna be required to go to the city? Like, I know you got a gas station right out
Yeah,
in
so.
front of you. Are they gonna be required to go to the city?
Yes. So the whole goal is to try to, especially now where it's going to pretty much stay at the $3 and higher rate, it seems like. When I first came into office, we had those 3 credit cards to the 3 different gas stations, and you're paying at the pump minus the no tax and just under a 1% or whatever that they knock off. Because I think Lexa told me one month the bill was $6,000 for Shell, and they invoiced us for $58.85 or something like that. So just around under 1% savings that they gave us. But that was at the three whatever it was. And so in checking with Tiffin and talking to them, they buy it in bulk, and when they get their shipments in, that's their gas that's in that tank at $2.85 or $2.70 or whatever they purchased it for. So the prices could go up at the pumps, or at $3.20 like it just did, but they're still paying the $2.86 as they go out of there. So my goal was, when I came and talked to you earlier in the year, is either one of 3 things, the plan A, B, and C. The plan A was to try to get the engineer's office, everybody goes there, do like they did back in decades ago, and get their gas from there. We could all buy or purchase our thing in bulk, 1 big tanks for the diesel, 1 big tank for the regular gas. Plan B was to have the tanks set up at the rear of our facility, and we just do our own, and possibly Veteran Services and SCAT and School of Opportunity, and purchase it 3 or 4 together, and still save some money for the county and the residents. And then the last plan, because that takes registrations, licensing, equipment, to get all the tanks and everything, and permits, is to see about if the city would be interested in allowing us to do that, which solved a couple of our problems at the sheriff's office. During the COVID thing, when we first came into office, some of the gas stations shut down early, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, before our midnight shift came in. And they didn't open up till 8:30 in the morning. And so they had nowhere to get gas during the nighttime and would either have to do it on their own, or if they happen to go to court or something like that, and fill up. And sometimes when you're racing back and forth across the county, when there's only those 2 or 3 deputies, that's 1 or 2 tanks a night, you know, that they're filling up. Before they get off duty, they want to fill it up again, so when they come on duty, they'll have a full gas tank. So with all that being said, they were interested to help us out, and each car would have their own, and Julie was in those talks as well, and or not in those talks, prior to those talks. Auditing purposes, how are we going to, you know, do this? And one of the things is that there's several hundred receipts a month that the deputies are trying to hold on to and turn in, and so some were getting lost and causing court orders because they weren't being paid, and we were getting late fees and everything like that. So this eliminates all that paperwork because we're getting one bill from the city a month. So that would be the primary source. Each person has a plastic key. It's got a chip in it. It's coded to your car. You know how much fuel per month is being used by each car and each deputy. And the one bill comes in. We would only use those cards if we were going away for training, or the transports has to go down to Cincinnati and back or something like that. Would be the only time that we would utilize those gas cards. And they can go at any time because the pumps aren't locked behind any gates or anything like that. So whether you go at 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning.
Tank, you know?
How big are their tanks?
How big? The gas tank from which you're filling your cars.
It varies on which cruisers are out there.
No, I don't.
It's city.
From the
has.
city.
The fuel, yeah, how big is
That the city has. I think theirs is a 100-gallon tank. I'm not sure if it's. I think it's
Bigger.
bigger than 1,000 or something like that. I don't know. I'm sorry.
okay.
They have 2 side by sides, a diesel and
Oh, yeah.
one. Right. Yeah. And I said, you know, this could be a trial basis. If we don't end up building, you know, one because it's just too much paperwork and expense, then maybe we get into a discussion with them, collaboration with them of buying bigger tanks down the road at some point, you know. But at least we could try it and see if it's going to save us some money, which I think it will. And looking at everything, even if it's a wash, I still think it's a benefit to the residents of Seneca County because we're not sending that $6,000 a month to Shell or $6,000 to Marathon to some corporate. It's staying here in Seneca County.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve that contract, or we talk about that later?
Oh, we'll do it in the next board session.
Put it all in there.
Yeah, because we're kind of just doing hearings now. We
Right.
Yeah.
not really.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure it saves any money, but I think it might be an administrative tool for you. Simple, track what cruisers are doing what, you know, that kind of data. But I think in the end, it is probably gonna be this, I mean, dollar for dollar, probably the same. That's just my gut feeling, but we can try it,
Yeah.
and maybe you can.
Could show you some numbers in 6 months.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, so I'm just.
Absolutely.
talking out loud.
Obviously, if it ends up costing us more money, then we don't have to continue with it. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Guys have a good weekend.
Yeah, I'll try to do that.
Nice.
Set some people on, looks like.
The last few good ones. Thank
All
you,
right.
Stacy. Thank
Yep,
you, guys.
thanks.
Have a
Jim,
good
you
day.
good?
Hey, guys.
We live?
See ya.
We're live. Yeah, we need to adjourn.
Hi.
We would need to adjourn probably.
Yes.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Did you just do it just by saying yes?
I seconded that motion.
And now
Good job,
we're adjourned.
Aaron.
Okay, I'll shut her
2:15.
down.